And now he's paying the price for falsifications, deceptions, outright lies.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's August 4th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. The delicious treat was invented by Ruth Graves Wakefield from Massachusetts in 1938. She and her husband bought a tourist lodge in 1930 and named it the Toll House Inn. She published a cookbook with a recipe inside 8 years later. Wakefield sold Nestle's the rights to reproduce her Toll House recipe on his packages for supposedly $1 and was hired as a consultant on recipes for the company with a lifetime supply of chocolate. If today is your birthday, you share it with Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States, born in 1961.
I know you didn't do this just to win an election. I know you didn't do it for me. You did it because you understand the enormity of the task that lies ahead.
He became the first African American to hold the office when elected in 2008. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Fight or flight? In Illinois, you've got both options. You can stay and fight, engage in local races, work to change things. Or you can vote with your feet. At leavingil.com, we help you build a smart exit plan so you know where to go, when to go, and how to do it right. Take our quick exit readiness assessment. Go to leavingil.com. That's leavingil.com. Or call 224-800-6979.
For over 40 years, the Heartland Institute has stood for the ideas that built this country. Free markets, limited government, and individual freedom. Now you're invited to celebrate that legacy in person. Join Heartland on Thursday, September 3rd for their 42nd anniversary benefit dinner at the historic Palmer House Hilton in downtown Chicago, one of the city's most iconic addresses for over 150 years. This year's keynote speaker is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has led Florida through 2 terms of record economic growth, making it one of the fastest growing states in the nation. The evening kicks off with a reception at 5, dinner at 6, an evening of great company, great conversation, and a shared belief in the principles that made America exceptional. Seats are limited, and they will go fast. Reserve yours today at benefit.heartland.org. That's benefit.heartland.org. The Heartland Institute's 42nd Anniversary Benefit Dinner, September 3rd, Palmer House Hilton, Chicago. Don't just believe in freedom, celebrate it.
Some places just become part of the community. Shannon's Deli is one of those places. For over 25 years, this woman-owned downtown Lombard favorite has been serving fresh, made-to-order sandwiches, homemade soups, signature salads, and some of the friendliest service you'll find anywhere. It's the kind of place where customers become regulars, and regulars become friends. Whether you're grabbing lunch, meeting coworkers, or picking up catering for the office, you'll taste the difference that comes from quality ingredients and genuine hospitality. Shannon's Deli is just 35 feet from the Metro train station. Then, when the sun goes down, head over to Shannon's Irish Pub in Glen Ellen for great food, your favorite drink, live entertainment, and the warm Irish hospitality you've come to expect from the Shannon's family. Shannon's Irish Pub is just 2 blocks from the Metro station. Visit shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
For over 40 years, the Heartland Institute has stood for the ideas that built this country. Free markets, limited government, and individual freedom. Now you're invited to celebrate that legacy in person. Join Heartland on Thursday, September 3rd for their 42nd anniversary benefit dinner at the historic Palmer House Hilton in downtown Chicago, one of the city's most iconic addresses for over 150 years. This year's keynote speaker is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has led Florida through 2 terms of record economic growth, making it one of the fastest growing states in the nation. The evening kicks off with a reception at 5, dinner at 6, an evening of great company, great conversation, and a shared belief in the principles that made America exceptional. Seats are limited, and they will go fast. Reserve yours today at benefit.heartland.org. That's benefit.heartland.org. The Heartland Institute's 42nd anniversary benefit dinner, September 3rd, Palmer House Hilton, Chicago. Don't just believe in freedom, celebrate it.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny, and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny, new, gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix, and it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
MyPillow is celebrating our country's 250th anniversary with savings up to 50% off their made-in-the-USA products. For example, get the queen-size premium MyPillow for $18.98 and the king-size for just $1 more. Get body pillows with a free pillowcase for only $39.98. Get the MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99 and $80 off the MyCross, all made right here in the USA. But there is so much more. In fact, they have over 200 products. Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Chicago or call 800-489-0201 to check out all of the great products they are offering. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code Chicago to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
Have you ever wondered, with all the different religions and interpretations of the Bible, how you can be sure that you're on the right path in your spiritual journey? The powerful new book, You and God by Peter Philippi, helps you answer this question and discover how to establish a truly personal relationship with God through biblical understanding and faith. Get your copy of You and God by Peter Philippi today by visiting pbmusa.org. That's pbmusa.org.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 83. Tonight, expect some clouds and humidity with a low of 69. Tomorrow, anticipate mainly cloudy and humid conditions with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, followed by a couple of heavy thunderstorms in the afternoon. There is a possibility of ponding on roadways with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Chicago. John Anthony in for Dan Prof. Yeah, I know I heard Dan Prof say yesterday that Jeannie and Amy would be in for him. But nope, you got your boy, John Anthony, in for Dan Prof. I think he said where he was going yesterday or something. I know he said something about he's taking some time off, and then he said Amy and Jeannie. Man, I mean, I guess if you got to be compared to somebody, that's a good thing. But good morning. I had last night. Let me tell you about my night and then my morning. Last night I had the opportunity to go speak to the Milton Township Republicans led by Jeff Castle. It was a packed room, standing room too as well, and gave a speech. I haven't given a speech in quite some time, and normally I would have had to drive home, which was about 45, 50 minutes from where I spoke to where I live. And the guy, Jeff Castle, was like, yeah, no, we're going to get you a room. And so I was almost late because I'm just not used to the time. What took me 16 minutes to drive here compared to an hour in the morning. So I feel a little bit more refreshed, although I couldn't go to sleep last night. I was trying to go to sleep, and just the excitement from speaking, I guess it got the best of me, and I just kept there. I just kept tossing and turning, until finally I woke up this morning. So it really was a good time. It just reminded me just how people, how important they are to winning races. And I gave a message, and I called it, I believe it was, I called it the knock at the door. And because I was meeting primarily with a lot of precinct committee people, and I was just extolling just the importance of understanding who's behind the door that you're trying to reach. And I gave a little testimony about, what happened with the knock that I received with my son, John Boy. And man, it was a really good time. I cannot lie. It was a really good time. So I also want to talk about a few more things. I got my Sean Thompson shirt on. Somebody just sent the message. My boat show, my Live on Lake Michigan. This is the 7th annual show. And Justin, you've never been, but that's okay. You've never been. It's on a Saturday. The station people don't have to pay. And I mean, what's up? What gives, Justin? I've invited you. Quinn has been. Will that work, Justin? No. Quinn has been, but Justin has not shown up to one of the boat shows. And I'm feeling neither has Mike Scott, as he's busy. He's like, not this morning, John. But it's always a good time when you come on the Live on Lake Michigan show. We have a really good time. It's all you can drink and all you can eat. And we have, I'm talking about an amazing time. So, and also, I want to talk about my new book, my latest book it's completely finished now. I've had a lot of great people helping me with it. I've been writing it for about 6 years. It's called The Counterfeit Republic. I think I hope it sells because I've been I think I have like 280 something sources or citations for this book. So I really sourced out this book. And actually, one of our guests that we're going to have on today, Brigadier General Christopher Walker. I found him because I was doing one of the chapters called "The Targeting of the Black Community," and I found this guy because I did a word search of DEI and things like that, and this Brigadier General was placed into leadership position in the Biden administration in the DEI of the military, and so I reached out to him and I said, I would love to have you come on, and because I would love for you to walk us through, what that was like. This guy was he's a true conservative. He ran for Congress in West Virginia. He didn't win, but just listening to his story, I wanted to bring that to a national light of some of the things that he had to endure. So it was a good. I hope when the book is finally published, you guys will come out and purchase the book. I sold a few books last night at the speaking engagement, but I'm not gonna lie. When I walked out of there, man, I almost felt like a piece of me was left there because I left it all there on the line, and I even started crying. And yeah, I'm not a crier, but I've become a crier as I turned 50 years old. So it was really, really a good night, and just to see so many people out there on a Monday night at Marinelli, I believe that's the name of the joint. And man, I only got a chance to eat the pizza, but the pizza was amazing. Oh my goodness! If you've never been to Marinelli's, please go and check it out. And I'm telling you, it really was a time to be had. So let's get back. Let's get to the what's happening across this world. First of all, I think you have to start local here in Chicago. If you were listening to my radio show Black and Right on Saturday, we had a long discussion about the Chicago mayor's race and who was jumping in, who wasn't jumping in. As you know, John Kelly has now declared himself as a candidate. You got Danny Carter Walters, who's from Chicago Flip Red, who's in. I believe Susanna Mendoza, and I think you're going to have a few more. Well, as I predicted on my Saturday show, Alexi Geniali, whatever his name is, Alexi. How about that?
In times like these, Chicago needs a mayor.
I know what you're thinking. Not another political ad. Believe me, I hate him as much as you do. That's why I'm not going to insult you with false political promises and poll-tested cliches that no one even believes. I'm going to do what I've always done. Tell the truth, no BS, put people first, make government work a little better, and deliver real change. But instead of talking at you, why don't I do what a mayor should do and talk with you? Come on. Nice to see you, man. I was born and raised in Chicago by Greek immigrants. They came to America with very little. My dad sold pickles, my mom worked at Sears. Work hard, never quit, work harder, and help other people. That's how I was raised.
I heard you play with Obama.
I did play with Obama many times. As Secretary of State, we have been on a mission to make your life just a little easier by making government work better.
Why the heck would you want to run for mayor?
It's the greatest city in the world. I am maniacally bullish about Chicago's future, but we need to demand better from City Hall.
Chicago needs a strong, good mayor.
We've got a lot going for us, but too many people are really struggling. We need to create real change.
Wait, I had to stop right there. Too many people are really struggling. He's talking about here in the state of Illinois, here in the city of Chicago, where there's been nothing but Democratic leadership for the last 10 years, right? But it's nothing. People are struggling. Why are people struggling? When you had a federal no tax on tips and overtime and things like that, but this governor says, no, we can't do that.
Change to a system that feels rigged, so it's fair and less expensive. I want my 4 young daughters and everyone else's kids to grow up in a great city that isn't constantly struggling under its own inaction. Let's not just talk.
No, that's the problem. There's been too much action, too much government infrastructure, and too much government influence in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. That's the problem. It's not that there's inaction happening with these Democrat elected officials. There's just entirely too much.
Talk about it. Let's demand universal pre-K, higher wages, housing that people can afford, and a fair tax system that protects working families, not billionaires. No, government can't solve all of our problems, but we must demand to do better and make our lives easier. You deserve a city hall that can deliver real change. For everyone that loves Chicago, it's time to demand better.
It's funny. I think that's the first time I've ever heard him in an ad. He didn't mention President Trump. But think about that. The lives of people in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois, we must demand better and things of that nature. Well, I mean, we haven't been demanding better. I mean, look at what's happening in the city of Chicago. I had one of my Democrat friends who I saw post of this video. That's one of the reasons why I brought it out. He posted this video and he says, yeah, he ain't the one. Lexi's not the one. And you guys know, as we stated on Saturday, he's going to lean real hard on Barack Obama to come and try to help him in this mayoral race because you heard what he said. He had to put that in there. Yeah, I played basketball with Barack Obama. I'm telling you, this city, this state, we need more help than we realize. We definitely need more help. And if last night, and I saw that there was a Lockport event with Darren Bailey and Aaron Del Mar that was standing room only as well. I still see no chance of Republicans winning anything anytime soon. We just don't have anything ready or together. We just simply don't. And that is a problem, my friends. Now into the newsroom with Mike Scott.
It's 5:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Pleasant good morning in the QC Kinetics newsroom. An Illinois State Police trooper is charged with sexual assault in Tinley Park. Authorities say Douglas Lee drugged a bartender in August of 2025, took her to a Tinley Park hotel where he sexually assaulted her. He wasn't on duty at the time of the incident. Lee was ordered held in jail while he awaits trial. A Sugar Grove man is charged in a deadly crash last week in Kendall County. Carson Rakoff faces aggravated DUI charges. State police say the 22-year-old was driving a pickup Friday night when he collided head-on with another vehicle in Millbrook. The collision caused a four-vehicle crash. Des Moines, Iowa residents Amy Lee Witter, James Witter, and a 4-year-old girl were killed in that wreck. Cleanup continues in Grant Park following the final performance of Lollapalooza. During the four-day event, 10 were arrested, 67 were transported by ambulance. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's budget director is stepping down. Johnson announcing Annette Guzman is resigning to focus on her family. Her departure comes shockingly after the city's acting chief financial officer, Stephen Marr, resigned last week. Meantime, Johnson is reacting to Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias' recent decision to run for mayor without naming names.
My job is to continue to govern and lead in this moment. And, as far as the politics of Chicago, there's a reason why we call it the Windy City.
He appeared at an event Monday at with the Chicago Teachers Union at Malcolm X College, alleging there are those seeking office while mentioning they will close schools.
And anyone, billionaire or not, that believes that you can take us back to a model of torment and torture, you got another thing coming.
Giannoulias mentioned in a recent interview with the Sun-Times it was time to make tough decisions and look to the possibility of closing schools. Republican Secretary of State nominee Diane Harris says Giannoulias should withdraw from the statewide election in November if he's planning to try and become mayor next year.
If he is elected there, he would only serve a few months as Secretary of State, and I'm sure that would not be what the voters would be voting him for.
Giannoulias joined Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza in the race for Chicago mayor. Mendoza is not running for re-election, saying it's not ethical for Giannoulias to ask almost 13 million people to support him when he's seeking another office.
I'm all in for Chicago. Alexi is clearly all in for Alexi. And that's why he's hedging his bets and he's running for both offices. But as I said, Chicago deserves a mayor who's all in.
Mendoza saying Although Giannoulias has to be judged on his record as Secretary of State, he should also be judged on his time as State Treasurer. You may recall Giannoulias bungled oversight of the Bright Start College Savings Plan, where he lost over $100 million in parent-funded college accounts. A boat capsized in Lake Michigan Monday evening on Chicago's south side. Fire officials say crews responded to the 4400 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive just before 8 p.m. 7 were on board the boat. 3 adults were taken to an area hospital in good condition. And the bodies of 2 missing kayakers from the Chicago area have been found. Authorities in Wisconsin confirm in Door County, recovery personnel from several area departments there worked together locating the bodies of 2 residents from the northwest suburbs, 20-year-old David Thalman of Dundee and 20-year-old Francesca Warwick of South Elgin. Officials say the discoveries happened late Monday morning. Cubs outslugged the Dodgers 10-5 in their series opener at home. Meantime, Cubs are active ahead of yesterday's trade deadline. Team acquiring starter Clay Holmes and outfielder Tyrone Taylor from the Mets, among others. White Sox back on the diamond tonight. Team squaring off against the Red Sox at Fenway. The White Sox also active before yesterday's deadline, trading for Rockies outfielder Brenton Doyle and Braves catcher Joey Bart. Phillies swung big at the trade deadline with the acquisition of 3-time batting champ Luis Arraez from the Giants. The Bears will continue the preseason without one of their top offseason additions. Safety Kobe Bryant expected to miss 8 to 10 weeks with a hyperextended left knee and a small fracture. Bryant carted off the practice field going down during Monday's training camp session. The news service of Lowe's, now at Lowe's. Faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note or saved in a photo? Perfect. Bring it in and get a quote in minutes. Plus, access thousands of products beyond what's in store or on Lowes.com, right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And in 2 minutes, a check of the AccuWeather forecast in our Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by LeavingIL.com and by Unique Wooden Flags.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
At Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, going the distance for business banking clients is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, and a plan for growth. They do not have time to wait for answers. With Signature, you have a trusted banking partner focused on understanding your business and helping you move forward. When you have a question or need support, you want someone who will pick up the phone, respond to your text, and be there when it matters. That's Signature. We are a team that takes the time to understand you, your business, and your goals. Ready to become Signature's next success story? Call 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Signature, a division of Esquire Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 83. Tonight, expect some clouds and humidity with a low of 69. Tomorrow, anticipate mainly cloudy and humid conditions with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, followed by a couple of heavy thunderstorms in the afternoon. There is a possibility of ponding on roadways with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to Chicago's Morning Answer. I'm John Anthony, filling in for Dan Prof, who's out, probably getting ready to tee off, or depending on where he's at, he's probably already done it. So I'm always honored to sit in for Dan. But before we continue with the show, did you guys see those trades between the Cubs and the Sox? Now, I'm a huge Cub fan. Everybody knows this. And I think, but I'm going to be honest. The White Sox, what's happening with the White Sox is I really do think their coach should be considered for the manager of the year, because no one expected the White Sox to be in first place this late in the season. Maybe hopefuls like Dan Prof and the other Chicago White Sox fans. But I thought they both added some good pieces, but I really love this. I even so much so that I even went on my baseball fantasy and picked him up, Clay Holmes, who the Cubs picked up. I put him on my fantasy even though he's hurt, because I really do think that they're going to do some great things. Give us a call, 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. You know, I caught this tail end of this interview with Juliana Stratton, the current lieutenant governor who's now running for U.S. Senate. And, you know, as I started thinking about, I mean, not just her, because there's a follow-up video that I want to play of Ayanna Pressley, the congresswoman. I forget which state she's from. But when you listen and watch how these people talk about the men and women of ICE and what some of the things that they would want to do, I think it's been proven that when you allow them to do their actual job, like don't get in the way, ICE does a hell of a job. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that could disagree with that, except maybe Juliana Stratton.
But what we saw with Operation Midway Blitz here in the city of Chicago and in the state of Illinois is we saw Border Patrol agents going down through downtown Chicago. We saw ICE agents in our communities after Donald Trump said that he was going after the quote unquote worst of the worst. But that's not who he went after. We saw tamale vendors and daycare providers, agents going into churches and places of business and even schools where we've saw a lot of activity. And so this is a time that I don't believe that this agency can be reformed. I believe that we need to start looking at what can we do with all of that money that agency has, because what Donald Trump is doing is not about immigration. It's not about public safety. It's about trying to normalize the presence of the military on American soil. So let's really invest in a system that works to put people on a path to legal immigration. Invest in more immigration judges, make sure that we have community-based resources and social services, and not criminalize our immigrant neighbors.
I mean, are we blind? Are we not to believe what we saw and what happened during the last administration? And to say that President Trump, what he's trying to do is make the military a comfortable presence in communities. What communities are President Trump sending the National Guard to? He's not sending them to red states per se. He's not. He's sending them to places where elected officials are not allowing the police department and ICE to work together. That's why he's sending them there. For one of the reasons why when all that kicked off here in the city of Chicago or what's this town? When it initially kicked off, the ICE agents were getting attacked, so he sent the military as a buffer of protection. I mean, how are these people? I know why. I know how. I know the system, and I know how is designed, especially in states like Illinois, for these type of people to continue to win. I understand that, but the people, how are the people still so clouded in their vision that they cannot see that these people are not good for this country, and especially to get positions of power? Because Ayanna Pressley, yeah, ICE agents. They're racist.
It's unconscionable. It's unjust that this for-profit system, again, is for childhood trauma. It's for child abuse. It's for child neglect. It's for medical negligence. It's for the violation of human rights, of constitutional rights. CoreCivic is getting rich off of and profiting off of the pain of these families who just want to be.
Okay, was she saying any of that when USAID and a lot of these other NGOs were sending money around the back way, allegedly, to a lot of these politicians and different groups that they belong to or they have friends that were associated with? No, she wasn't.
Back in community, working their jobs that they take pride in. So Dilley needs to be shut down. We need you to join our calls for the Dilley Detention Facility to be shut down and to abolish ICE, this rogue, racist agency that is far beyond reform.
Now, if come on, see, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. How many of you have ever seen some of the ICE agents that are out there? They're not all white folks. Did you know that? Do you know there's a high propensity of Latino ICE agents, men and women? But they're racist. They're picking up people who are of Latin descent, right? Or Spanish descent, right? They're picking these people up, but they're racist. But see, I have a hard time problem. I got some audio clip that I'm gonna play in the next hour. Brandon Tatum, he went to this thing. I think it's called Jubilee, where there's 20 Republicans versus 20 Democrats versus one Republican, pretty much. And Brandon Tatum. I took a few of the audio clips that I want to really play and have a real discussion about it because anytime I think it's weakness when you have to invite in race when the discussion has nothing to do with race. But it's allowed to happen. It is allowed to happen, and nobody really cares. Show me where the ICE agents are out there literally trying to kill people or hurt people. They're not. They're just simply not. They're not allowed to do they're not allowed to function in their role or their capacity to pick up people who don't belong in this country. And you heard Juliana Stratton talking about it. Trump and how he's going. How Ayanna Pressley said he was going after certain people, picking up people who were on the tamale trucks. No, if they were out there picking up somebody and they came across somebody, they weren't going to let. Tom Homan told us that way back when, before any and all of this started. President Trump ran on this. Did people forget that? Let's go to Tom from Blue Island. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Johnny, how you doing, brother?
Hey,
Good to hear you this morning.
Thank you.
Johnny, I think we're going to hear that clip a lot, and I think key in it is when Juliana Stratton, who is an acolyte, obviously, of Fatboy Pritzker and a typical leftist Democrat, notice the inflection in her voice when she mentions getting that money from ICE. She goes, and we got to get our hands on all of that money. Yeah. She gives away the game right there, brother.
Because Tom, that's what it's really all about right there. Follow the money in any and everything. You want to know what the true end goal, end game is? Follow the money. Follow the bread. The crumbs always lead you to the problem of what's happening. Let's go to Tony on the South Side. What's up, Tony? Welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Johnny, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well.
Good to hear you. Listen, you got to listen to what she says early in that comment. She says that President Trump was going after the worst of the worst. But then she says, but he's going into the neighborhoods. Where the hell does she think these people are? They're in the neighborhood.
No, they're not.
That's what it's right. Yeah, well, according to her, not. I don't know where she thinks they're at. But all right, my friend.
Hey, Tony. And you know what's funny? What's real funny is you see a lot of black, I won't say Republicans or conservatives, activists, and they've been pointing this out ever since the problem has reared its head when Biden was president and under Brandon Johnson's leadership. They've been pointing this out. Even people, I don't want to call him out. TB, he knows who he is. He's been going in on these Democrats hard, as he should. Neil from LaGrange, welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. You know, you never hear the media talking about the 40 or so states where they're cooperating, where they're welcoming these ICE agents. It's these constant, 8 or 9 states that there's these confrontation. And, this Julietta Stratton, she cannot tell me that she actually believes what she is saying.
Yep,
but you're right. But you're right. Follow the money. You need. Remember Harold Washington? You need more money for more programs.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Remember that?
Yep.
So you have a great day.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember Harold Washington. I think I've told the story. My wife's grandfather, he was actually paid a visit by the FBI right after Harold Washington died, because the day before that he was at City Hall. And he told Harold Washington, if you don't get his life right, God's going to strike him dead. That was Deborah Anthony's, my wife's grandfather. I used to listen to him before I even met Deborah on the Midnight Cry. And he had the FBI came by and basically wanted to know, did he have anything to do with Harold Washington's death? I'll never forget when I first met Deborah and him telling me that story. Let's go to Phil from Maryville. Well, Phil, welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning. I'm being dead serious about this. They need to put it into law to where all these politicians have to wear little patches of who they're bought and paid for. Like anything over $100,000, it could be like a little medal list, like a general would wear, and put it into law, because all these politicians are going in for themselves to get rich. Back in the day when this country started, they didn't make money. They came in, they made law, they went back home, and they did their own job. They didn't come out here and vote for pay raises for themselves. So right. I'm just getting sick and tired of all these politicians doing stuff for themselves and the people who bought and paid them, off.
Well, Phil, you dropped the ball. I love what you said. Politicians should dress like NASCAR drivers. You forgot to mention that part.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you, brother. You have a good rest of your day. But he's right. I mean, imagine that. Imagine if they had to have like this ticker or something that shows. I mean, you can find that on a lot of different sites. Who's basically owning these people, these politicians. But imagine if they had to wear, like, how NASCAR drivers in their uniforms, they have all their sponsors all over them. I mean, man, that would be an eye-opener as they go out and knocking doors and talking to voters, and the voters like, well, you got Flock. You guys see the big thing with Flock here in the state of Illinois and the data centers? I saw somebody say you can't use AI and then complain about data centers. So I'm looking for somebody to bring on Black and Right to interview about not just the data centers that are popping up all across the country. Because I actually wrote something. I wrote a Substack article on what happened down in Joliet, but I also want to get somebody from Flock, because one of the reason why a lot of these things fail, because they do. Oh, I guess I can't say that. Poor communications as it relates to what they're actually coming into the community to do. I mean, I have yet to. I promise you, I've been looking for somebody from Flock and in these data centers to interview. It's hard to find somebody to interview unless it's a think tank or some lobbyist group who wants the Flock and the data centers here. You cannot find anybody there that you can bring on a radio show to have a real conversation about what's happening with these. I don't understand why, because I do have a problem with a private entity taking my data to show, and I get it. You got the license plate readers that are already out there that police officers use and everything like that. I get that part. But you have a private entity, just like I feel about the Ring camera. That's why I took my Ring camera off my door, because they're able to access that data and all that stuff. That's why I took it off. But I do have a problem with a private entity taking data, and then the government, even though they have to give a warrant, they can now have access to that. I do have a problem with that. I really do. I don't know how do you feel about that with these flock system and the data centers they're popping up. There's literally one right down the road from me in Manuka, and they've taken up a ton of space. I mean, it has to be at least 1,000 acres or more that they've taken up right off Ridge Road in the Manuka area going into the Joliet area. It's insane. George from Naperville. George, I haven't heard from you in a while.
Hi, John. Yeah, maybe the tamale vendor was up to no good and it had nothing to do with tamales.
That's true. Wait, George, Dennis Rebelletti, when he and I served in the Illinois House together, one of the things that the left used to always get up and talk about somebody getting arrested for stealing diapers, but they failed to mention that not only did they get arrested for that, they had 30 cases that prior to that, and that was what affected them to go to jail in the long term. So you're right, George.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's exactly right. Thank you so much, George. I appreciate the call. Do I have time? I do have time. When you look at what's happening at the Democrat level and what's happening across this country, I am not gonna lie. I was a little shocked that James Carville, the guy who, you talk about the poster boy for Trump derangement syndrome, said this.
Analyst there is, and I'm not sure what to understand what Madonna is doing, but to talk about the larger Democratic Party post the election in Michigan going forward, I am not going to be in the same party with Hassan Piker. I can tell you that right now. If he becomes a force in the Democratic Party, I'm out of here. I have no intention of ever being in the same political party with that guy. Now, I think that overwhelming majority of Democrats agree with me. But this idea that we're going to seize the means of production and just go look at the DSA platform. You don't have to look any further than that. And, Jackie, it may be that the two-party system is just going to be under tremendous stress here in the coming months. I mean, you see it with Tucker and Martin Taylor Greene and on the Republican side. You see it going on right now. And I can't sit here and tell you for certainty how this is going to turn out. But the one thing I can tell you for certain, Hassan Piker and James Carville are not going to be.
Yeah, but what he doesn't understand, the Mandanis of the world are the representation of Hassan Piker. So he's already walking hand in foot with them. With the same people that he's saying he's no longer. Listen, I've said for years, I would love to see what it would look like in any election where you had no label. You didn't have Republican or Democrat. I guarantee you, I am in the mind of Rush Limbaugh. Conservatism wins every time it's tried. I don't care where it happens. Conservatism wins. And I said this last night in my speech. It works every time. The only problem is you can't be Santa Claus. That's another Rush Limbaugh that he would say. You can't beat Santa Claus. And what Rush Limbaugh was trying to say, the Democrats are the party of give, free. But who's paying for the free? We are, the taxpayers. And that's the fight that's before us right now across this country as it relates to givers and the takers. And right now the takers are winning because they now have mouthpieces that are assisting them and helping them. Chicago's Morning Answer. We'll be right back.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Why does Progressive help support truckers? Because truckers unite the world. Truckers unite whistles and lifeguards. Truckers unite fitness devices with people who don't exercise. Truckers unite your aunt with those live, laugh, love signs. But truckers can't do any of this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive helps safe truckers save an average of $6,181 when they elect to share their ELD data with us. Get a quote at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. 2025 National Average Safe Driver Enrollment Discount Savings for new Progressive customers exclude the mandatory program participants. Not available in all states. Driving data could increase or decrease premiums at renewal.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
You need shirts, hats, polos, and you need them now. That's Your Wearable Words. Embroidery, heat transfers, custom printing. No big minimums, no big waits. Whether it's 50 polos for your team or 100 hats for your next event, their machines are running around the clock to get it done fast. Your Wearable Words is right here in Chicagoland, ready to ship directly to you. Your Wearable Words gets it stitched and delivered. Get started at yourwearablewords.com and order today.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
The polls are just opening in 2 more states. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. An hour after primary voting got underway in Virginia. The race getting the most attention's in Michigan, where a Democrat who says he's not a socialist is running for Senate on a progressive platform.
I believe in the opportunity we have in front of us to correct both the moral failures of the past and the moral failures of our president.
Abdul Al-Sayed is taking on Congresswoman Haley Stevens.
Hamas appears...
And that is, Haley Stevens is a candidate who is more considered moderate. The Republican winning the Democrat, in this case, will face Mike Rogers, the Republican. In Missouri, a progressive Democrat is trying to return to Congress.
This is a last chance for them to sign a good document.
That's President Trump. He says that they're working on a deal with Iran. He called off a big attack over the weekend, pushing for a deal to denuclearize Iran and fully open the Strait of Hormuz, where another ship did get attacked.
The cargo ship reported being hit by an unknown projectile at 2 a.m. local time, while about 23 miles northeast of the Omani coast. Iran says no negotiations with the United States are scheduled. Tehran, however, claims it is talking to Oman about reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. The first 2 deaths are reported in Michigan in the nasty outbreak of diarrhea-inducing cyclosporiasis.
Officials say both people had underlying health conditions that may have been impacted by the parasite. The deaths come as the state's total cases top over 11,000 and nearly 200 people in the hospital. Federal officials are still investigating the source of what they say are multiple separate outbreaks.
That's Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. And back to the contest today. There are also primaries in addition to Michigan, Missouri, and Virginia. Contests in Kansas and Washington State. America's listening to Fox News.
69 degrees. Some beginning to break in the east at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. An Illinois State Police trooper is charged with sexual assault in Tinley Park. Authorities say Douglas Lee apparently drugged a bartender in August of 2025, and prosecutors allege he then took her to a Tinley Park hotel where he sexually assaulted the victim. According to prosecutors, he was not on duty at the time of the incident. Lee was ordered held in jail while he awaits trial. Cleanup continues in Grant Park following the final performance of Lollapalooza during the 4-day event. 10 were arrested and 67 transported to the hospital in an ambulance. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's budget team suffering another loss
Johnson announcing Annette Guzman is resigning to focus on her family. Guzman joined the administration in 2023. Meantime, Johnson reacting to Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias' recent decision to run for mayor without naming names.
My job is to continue to govern and lead in this moment. And, as far as the politics of Chicago, there's a reason why we call it the Windy City.
Johnson appeared Monday at a CTU media event at Malcolm X College, alleging there are people seeking office while mentioning others who are running for mayor may close schools.
And anyone, billionaire or not, that believes that you can take us back to a model of torment and torture, you got another thing coming.
Giannoulias mentioned in a recent interview with the Sun-Times that it was time to make tough decisions and look into the possibility of school closures. Cubs outslugged the Dodgers 10-5. And the Cubs were active ahead of the trade deadline, acquiring, among others, starter Clay Holmes and outfielder Tyrone Taylor from the Mets. White Sox back on the diamond tonight, squaring off against the Red Sox at Fenway. Sox also very active before the trade deadline, among others, trading for Rockies outfielder Brenton Doyle and Braves catcher Joey Bart. Bears start the preseason without one of their top offseason additions. Safety Kobe Bryant down for 8 to 10 weeks with a hyperextended left knee along with a small fracture. The news, a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder doesn't see the math working out.
Something I've been saying for a long, long time about the rise of these Democrat socialists, even before that, about the dominance of Democrats in general. Now the Democrat Socialists of America have won primaries and elections based on, wait for it, affordability, a crisis that their policies have caused.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments, just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Sleep and relaxation just got smarter. The Zecliner by FlexSteel combines comfort with durable design, featuring custom adjustments like headrest, lumbar, heat, and massage, helping you unwind the right way. Whether you're watching TV or taking a well-earned break, Zecliner is built for you. Comfort, customization, and FlexSteel quality all in one chair. Experience the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Steinhofels.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny, and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny, new, gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix, and it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
6:07 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Solid traffic on the Kennedy inbound Harlem to Foster this morning. A reminder that the inbound off-ramp to Lawrence Avenue remains shut down after an entire retaining wall collapsed over the weekend. They'll close that ramp until August 10 at the earliest. Dan Ryan, off-ramp has just been reopened at Roosevelt Road from much earlier police activity and stop-and-go traffic showing up on LSD, Bryn Mawr, up to Hollywood. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of the morning forecast in our Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 83. Tonight, expect some clouds and humidity with a low of 69. Tomorrow, anticipate mainly cloudy and humid conditions with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, followed by a couple of heavy thunderstorms in the afternoon. There is a possibility of ponding on roadways with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Chicago. John Anthony filling in for Dan Proft. He's not here today. I know. What I love when I see on the social media, because I interact with the social medias whenever I can sign into this computer here. Dan's Proft's not here. I'm gone. Okay. Hey, whatever floats your boat. I get it. I know there's a lot of people that don't listen to my show when I'm not there. So I get it. One of the things I will never try to do is imitate or be Dan Proft. I just simply won't. Mike, I wanted to, Michigan, Michigan has a primary today. And I guess, as you guys know, on the Democrat side, there's a very controversial individual that's running. Mike, what do you think the people of Michigan, you're from Michigan, do you think the people from Michigan are going to vote for this guy to become the next U.S. Senator?
No, I'm from West Michigan.
Yeah.
So, there is and folks from Michigan know there is a complete you can split the state down the middle.
Yeah.
And split the state, the Lower Peninsula, into quadrants. You have the Traverse City region. You have the region nobody talks about on the other side with the thumb. You have Detroit and you have Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Grand Rapids voters are likely not to vote, although they have been trending more blue, especially in the major metropolitan center of Grand Rapids, just looking at voting statistics. But remember who the DSA candidate is drawing from his base.
Yeah.
He's drawing from a large population of a Muslim contingent in the Detroit area.
Yes.
They have already become, in Dearborn, the center of population.
Yes.
So that's where he's drawing from. Does he have a chance? Well, voters have spoken by placing him giving him enough credibility to actually run in that race. You can look at it from the perspective of he has a base to run off. He has people who are supporting him. But the center of the state, the Lansing portion of the state, definitely breaking more if the numbers are correct coming out of the polling and the people who are funding.
Yeah.
The center of the state's trending towards Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens?
Yes, Stevens.
Haley Stevens.
Yeah.
And Grand Rapids, just waiting for Mike Rogers.
Right.
Definitely a more conservative Grand Rapids and Holland, Grand Haven, all the way down to Benton Harbor, St. Joseph. Definitely waiting for someone like a Mike Rogers to get engaged in that race, because that's a general election for them. Because Rogers, I believe, is running unopposed.
He's unopposed. Well, he was running against Genevieve Scott Peters.
Yeah. It's an interesting state that is definitely in some sections far more blue. That would be Oakland County, the Detroit area,
where I'm normally
and Wayne County, the suburbs in and around and surrounding Detroit. But it's definitely very purple in the middle, and trending red to deep red in sections of West Michigan and then near Traverse City. And it's a it's an interesting race. He has a base to run from.
He does.
So if you discount him simply because of what he says or what he does, that's I think Dan Woods, for example, would say he has people and he has opportunity. It's just dependent on what voters in the center part of that state,
if they come out
and if they're engaged in that race. And that we've talked many times about voter engagement.
Yes.
How does a candidate bring you to the polls in a primary where, some estimates are 25% of the people are going to vote in the state of Michigan? I can tell you that the candidate has already inspired Muslim voters in Dearborn and places around that.
You've seen the marches.
Where they have, they're engaged.
Yeah,
they are, and we've seen that from video. We've seen that from his interactions with those voters on the east side of the state.
Yeah,
it just depends right now on who's engaged, at what percentage, and from Mike Rogers' perspective, if he can engage voters statewide without really being active.
Yeah, the Libertarians are not with him, though. They and normally you need, as a Republican, you need those Libertarians, right, to carry the day.
You do. I think look, Mike Rogers is going to have to work hard to get steel workers up in Traverse City. There's a large contingent of union membership that works on the Mackinac Bridge and other projects there and in the Upper Peninsula. It's going to have to work hard to get the farming communities north of Saginaw, the sugar beet population, and all those guys who depend on the water all the way up to Alpena. You're going to have to really work to get the UAW on your side in Detroit. And that is Rogers' constituency.
Yes.
He's going to have to give up much of the center of the state, mostly blue when it comes to the Lansing area, and then depend on West Michigan to fill the gap.
Yeah. I think what happens in that Senate seat in Michigan can really have a shockwave across the rest of the country. Mike Rogers walks away with that, or let's say even the governor's race, John James or Perry Johnson walk away with it. Either one of them. Imagine what that says about the rest of the country and the outlook as to who controls the U.S. Senate in this upcoming election.
Well, momentum, right? And that's what Brett Baer was talking on Fox. They were talking about it on CNN just the other day. Momentum is a powerful wave breaker.
I agree.
And, Dan consistently talked, for example, about the L.A. mayor's race and how momentum
and ballot harvesting.
Yeah, momentum for the insurgent candidate crested too early.
Yeah.
He needed it to crest just a little bit later to carry himself into a runoff, and that's the thing. Do you want your momentum? When you want your momentum to crest? When you want those votes and voters to show up?
That's a good point, Mike. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do think. If Michigan goes the way I think it's going to go, and you said, John, well, why are you bringing up Michigan? Well, because I think it's important for the rest of the country. If a lot of these people that are running for Congress win, if Mike Rogers wins that, I think it's going to be a tough go for a Don Tracy here to beat a Juliana Stratton because she's supported by a billionaire and a couple of other billionaires who want to make sure and see that she wins. But if you take places where you're not supposed to win, Michigan, and I look at who this guy would replace, Gary Peters. Gary Peters was he had a few leanings of leftism, but he tried to stay in the middle, and to see that this guy Abdul is going to replace him, it screams chaos to me. In the state of Michigan, and I just hope I'm wrong. But I love a good troll. I really do love a good troll. Now, do you guys remember when COVID hit and how athletes specifically were ostracized? They were vilified. And remember the one athlete who said basically he wasn't getting the jab? Well, he went on Pat McAfee's show and he gave his answer. And I love the answer.
Because is everything better? Is everything funner? Is everything more awesome? Like, how do you kind of view this year versus maybe the years of the past?
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Okay. Okay.
Gotta love that guy.
Justin posed the question to me. I said, well, I'm going to plead the fifth. I knew I was going to play this, but I'm pleading the fifth, Justin.
Like that absolute coward, Tony Fauci. Absolute coward.
Yeah.
Hey, it's back, baby. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, 111
You
times.
got a pardon and you're in front and you pleaded over 100 times at the White House? What are you scared of, Tony?
Yeah.
I thought you were the science.
Yeah.
I thought you were I am science, and you get up there and you can't answer a question?
Yeah.
What are we doing? And how much time did the network spend at that? How much time did they spend on my responses every week, on my vaccination status, on Taylor and Travis's wedding? Did they do even a minute? Did they do even a minute on Tony Fauci?
Now, where's he wrong? Where's Aaron Rodgers wrong? I don't think he's wrong at all. But when they weren't going to take the VAB, it was the athlete, the selfish person. They're selfish. Stephen A. Smith even had to get in on it. He had to apologize to Kyrie Irving. If you guys know, I believe Kyrie Irving lost money because he wouldn't take that jab.
There were others who had the courage to say, bump that. And one of those people at the forefront was Kyrie Irving. I bring his name up because I had my issues with him from a leadership standpoint. Never as a player, because he's sensational. But with him, in terms of leadership. And I didn't look at it as being courageous.
Yeah, but we did. We saw people being courageous who gave the the middle finger to the government to say that we are not going to do this. You will not get to dictate how we live our lives. Personally, people like Kyrie and people like Aaron Rodgers who took to their platforms, and that's why when Republicans say that LeBron James and all those guys should shut up and dribble, I didn't agree with that, and I called it out then. No, they have platforms. Allow them to speak. They're going to pay. They're going to pay the consequence for speaking. But if they have that platform, I mean, because imagine how many people didn't take that jab because of Aaron Rodgers saying that's poison. Imagine how many people didn't in the black community who didn't take it because Kyrie said, I'm not taking that. I have no problem with people speaking from their platforms. That's how they should. You should do. That's what you got the platform for. And but Stephen A. And I applaud him for apologizing to Kyrie Irving. Because I was cheerleading Kyrie Irving. I was cheerleading Aaron Rodgers because I saw what they were trying to do to us. And guys, we can never, ever get back to that place ever again where we allow government officials to dictate our every move. Because that's the ultimate goal. That's really what they want to do. That's their ultimate goal. But we cannot allow it. We cannot. And that's why Joe Manchin, former governor of West Virginia and senator of West Virginia, could you ever support a socialist?
Could you ever support a self-described socialist candidate?
No. No way. My God, no.
And even if they have some good ideas?
I support the good ideas, but how could you support some of the crazy stuff they're for? Have you seen their platform? They're for dismantling everything that we know, whether it be the structure of government, Congress itself, or the Senate they want to get rid of. And then they start talking about all the crazy things. No police, no this, no this, no that. Are you crazy? We want a crime-free area. We have to have police for that. Yeah. We want a strong defense. We want a strong border. But if Democrats can't say that, and they start lining up with the socialist demands of what you are to be a socialist, energy will be gone. There'll be no energy, okay? We have right now a tremendous amount of energy we're producing, and the world depends more on us than ever before.
I mean, guys, and people are saying, well, John, you've been talking about this a lot lately. Yeah, I just wrote a whole book about it. That's why. It's fresh. It's right at the top of my brain. It's right at the top of my mind. And they're beautifying this stuff to make, just like I personally believe what they did with suicide. When you look at some of the movies that they came out, some of the songs that people sing that made suicide okay. They're following the same playbook to make being a communist okay. Dude, no, it is not okay. And we have to do everything in our power to awaken the voter. and create a different system. But if we can't change nothing if we don't win. And one of the reasons why we're not winning, especially here in the state of Illinois, because nobody wants to work together. I see it. I watch it. I read the headlines. I read everything. I'm not saying that we cannot have this healthy debate. That's what the primaries are for. Primaries are where you have this healthy debate to determine who should lead or who should win a particular seat. Once that primary is over, can we coalesce around the candidates? We can't. Not here in the state of Illinois. I know what's happening in Michigan, too, because I have friends there now because of doing the morning show there. You said, John, you're so naive. No, I'm not. I'm tired of losing. I'm so sick and tired of losing. I'm sorry. As I stated last night, I do believe we're that generation that Ronald Reagan talked about. That one generation that's awake. That we're at an extinction point where we're gonna have to our grandkids and their kids, they're gonna live in a different America if we don't stop. If we don't become the beachhead tier right now and fight. Our grandkids and grandkids' kids are going to grow up in a different America. That's why I'm so passionate about this. That's why I look at this, the what's happening here in the state of Illinois. As I stated, $32 billion was the first budget, and now we're at $58 billion here in the state of Illinois in less than 10 years. Do we really have a problem of raising revenue? No. We have a problem of spending. And that's what's happening across this country. I love this 847 text. Muslims vote at 90% rate, Christians 25%. I think the Christians is a little bit higher than that, but that's a great point. Muslims will come out and vote, and people are upset that now people are courting the Muslim vote. Listen, there are some amazing Muslim people. I got to meet a lot of them who love this country when I was doing radio in Michigan. Not everybody that proclaims that they're Islam or are want to see the destruction of this country. I know. I sat and broke bread with a lot of these people. I mean, you got Americans who have those problems. Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options: debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
Every so often in medicine, something comes along that is truly revolutionary.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, former orthopedic surgeon, now National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
I believe this is one of those things.
Dr. Scheinkup is talking about regenerative medicine, something he's practiced, researched, and written about for nearly 2 decades.
The old ways of dealing with joint pain, such as steroids and surgery, are no longer the best ways.
If you have pain from arthritis or injury, you owe it to yourself to learn more about this exciting option, using your own body's natural power to get lasting relief. And there's no better place to learn than QC Kinetics.
There is no one in this country today with more clinics, more satisfied patients, more advanced protocols, or more experience in using this exciting option to deliver life-changing results.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. 312-827-6261. 261.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Why does Progressive help support truckers? Because truckers unite the world. Truckers unite whistles and lifeguards. Truckers unite fitness devices with people who don't exercise. Truckers unite your aunt with those live, laugh, love signs. But truckers can't do any of this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive helps safe truckers save an average of $6,181 when they elect to share their ELD data with us. Get a quote at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. 2025 National Average Safe Driver Enrollment Discount Savings for new Progressive customers excludes mandatory program participants. Not available in all states. Driving data could increase or decrease premiums at renewal.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Jubilee 20 versus 1. The Officer Brandon Tatum. Guys, he really did take these people to class. And I don't think they were ready, because people really need to stop thinking that black people, we are monolith. We don't all think the same. And guess what? That is okay. Now onto the newsroom.
6:30 in the QC Kinetics newsroom. An Illinois State Police trooper this morning is charged with sexual assault in Tinley Park. Authorities say Douglas Lee drugged a bartender, and prosecutors say took her to a Tinley Park hotel in August of 2025, where he sexually assaulted her. Now, investigators say he wasn't on duty at the time of the incident, and prosecutors confirm Lee was ordered held in jail while awaiting trial. An arson suspect linked to one of the massive wildfires threatening Spokane, Washington, will be in court today.
Sheriff John Knoll says Aaron Farinacci was taken into custody without incident.
Executed an arrest warrant and search warrant in the city of Spokane, and we took 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci, a convicted felon, into custody on a single charge of arson in the first degree.
Farinacci is being held on $1 million bond. His arrest followed a witness report describing a man near the Old Trails fire shortly before it ignited on Saturday. Officials say more than 700 structures have been destroyed in the area, but the full extent of the damage is not yet known. The wildfires are 0% contained. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson has already declared a statewide emergency. I'm Mark Mayfield.
President Trump says he's welcoming Todd Blanche's upcoming confirmation as the next Attorney General.
He's going to do a great job. Everybody knows it. And I understand there's been a sign-off, but I don't know what they agreed. I think Todd Blanche agreed to reconfirm things that he's already said.
The president's pick to head the DOJ was stalled by two Republican senators. Microsoft this morning warning about hotel Wi-Fi. Company says Russian hackers are using phony sign-in pages to break into accounts. Says the operation is nicknamed Captive Crunch because it involves a widespread compromise of Wi-Fi networks at hospitality-related organizations. Cleanup continues in Grant Park following the last performance of Lollapalooza. During the four-day event, 10 were arrested. The bodies of two missing kayakers from the Chicago area have been found on Lake Michigan in Wisconsin. According to Door County sheriffs, Recovery personnel from several area departments worked together in locating the bodies of 2 residents from the northwest suburbs, 20-year-old David Tholman of Dundee and 20-year-old Francesca Warwick of South Elgin. Cubs outslugged the Dodgers 10-5 in their series opener. Meantime, the Cubs were active ahead of the trade deadline, acquiring starter Clay Holmes and outfielder Tyrone Taylor, among others. White Sox back on the diamond tonight against the Red Sox, and the Sox were also active before yesterday's deadline, trading for, among others, Rockies outfielder Brenton Doyle and Braves catcher Joey Bart. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Class A Insurance, owned by Thomas Iacenta.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Can you give our listeners some examples of how you've helped clients over the years?
A couple of your listeners called in. They're a married couple. They're in their 60s. They were really concerned and tired of trying to manage their own investments. So their accounts were quite big, but they felt like they needed a little help with it so they didn't screw up at this stage of the game. So they couldn't afford to lose any money in the market moving forward, and trying to manage retirement on a fixed income was kind of a daunting task for them. So with about $1.5 million in 401k savings and other stocks and bonds, we rearranged their portfolio so that they had guaranteed future income, less volatility in the market, and of course tax savings. So now they have this peace of mind because they know that they have a protect and grow blueprint.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell them I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
6:36. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, Kennedy inbound, accident right shoulder at Foster. You're solid back to I-190. Stevenson inbound, slows up between the Veterans Toll and Lamont Road. Dan Ryan, the exit ramp inbound to Roosevelt Road. The off-ramp there is shut down for an ongoing police investigation. And delays on Route 53, all due to the road work between the Jane Addams I-90 and Kirchhoff on the northbound side. Traffic, a service of Lowe's. Now at Lowe's, faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note? Perfect. Bring it in, get a quote in minutes, plus access to thousands of products beyond what's in store or on Lowe's.com. Right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sunshine and clouds, high 85 today. Overnight, cloudy, humid, with a low of 68.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, come on, I wanted to hear that. We turn up the mic. Welcome back to Chicago's Morning Ask. John Anthony, filling in for Dan Proft, host of Black and Right, heard every Saturday from 4 to 7 p.m. If you haven't listened to this past Saturday show, I had an awesome candidate, Amir Hassan, who's running for Michigan congressional seat number 8. It was a time to be had, I'm telling you. And I really do hope that individual wins. And last night I got to, as so many people were calling her Annie Oakley, Angel Oakley. She's running for Congress here in Illinois, and Nikki Conforti was there. I got an opportunity to speak to them. I'm going to have them on the show. And we're also going to have some of the local candidates on Black and Right, because one of the things that I really love doing is interviewing candidates. And if you know anything about me on Black and Right, I'll even interview Democrat candidates, because I think the only way we know who's going to be representing us is to know who's running for these seats. So that's one of the things that I love doing, is interviewing everybody. I get a lot of flack for that, but I really don't care, because how will we know what people believe if they don't come on shows and explain what it is that they believe? That's one of the reasons why I love this thing called Jubilee. It's always like 20-something different leftists who are going up against one conservative or Republican or libertarian. Not so much libertarian, but some libertarians have gone on there. And I saw this, Brandon Tatum had just recently gone, and I don't know if you guys have been seeing what's happening with Brandon Tatum with this Nolan Wells situation. He went down there, interviewed everybody involved. And one thing I do know about Brandon Tatum, I got friends who served with him on the police force out there in Arizona. And one thing, he's very thorough in his approach to whenever he's doing any type of investigations. He was like this as a cop as well. And so when I saw this video on X and saw how Brandon Tatum was taking them to task, and you'll hear one word that keeps popping up: emotional. Because one thing that I found, whenever you're debating against somebody who's normally of the left, it's all seated in emotion. There's no facts. There's no, you can't. And because the hardest argument to beat is an emotional argument, because everybody has those emotions. Not everybody thinks. Oh, did I say that? Yes, I did. So here he is. They started talking about, they were talking about a bunch of different things, but I found a few that I really wanted to highlight. And here's the one when people, they were calling President Trump a racist.
Why do you think he got rid of it, according to you?
Because he's racist.
To say that Donald Trump is racist is the craziest thing I've heard.
Donald Trump.
Have you ever met Donald Trump personally?
No.
Have you don't know him?
No. So you've met Donald.
See, even just starting right there, you're gonna put a label on somebody that you've never even met. You've never even had a conversation with. You've never been in the same room. You've never been and you just go off these caricatures that have been created about an individual. And this isn't just for Trump. This is anybody you meet, coming up with all these different caricatures, and you have no idea who these people are.
I've met Donald Trump several times.
So you're basing whether or not he's racist just on your personal...
You don't have any evidence. You're saying because he allegedly got rid of some desperate impact analysis that somehow that has something to do with race, and it only affects black people.
But your evidence is anecdotal. Oh, Trump was nice to me one time, therefore he's not a racist.
I have no evidence to believe that Trump is a racist.
Because you are
Where's the evidence that Trump is a
racist?
racist?
Okay, I'll give you more evidence.
Give me
in
evidence.
1973, his company...
That's when you know they've lost the argument. Oh, in 1973, when they have to go and revisit the past. That's when you know they've lost the argument. We're talking about now. Your thing, her argument is that President Trump is a racist now. On what evidence?
Was sued for violating the Fair Housing Act by openly discriminating against black renters.
What was the findings of that?
He was actually forced to settle.
He was forced to settle.
Yes,
made
he
a
was forced to
decision
settle. No, he had
There
to
was
settle.
no finding of fault.
Why
Was it?
would someone settle
Was it
if they
finding
were
of
not
fault?
guilty?
You can make it.
Why
whatever
would
you
someone
want.
settle
You
if
can
he
say,
wasn't
why
doing
would,
it?
Was there a determination in court that he was at fault?
also forced to.
No. Was there
Yes.
a determination in court that he was at fault?
No.
He settled, so they didn't have a determination in court.
Oh, my
He got
goodness.
out of it by settling, which is what you do when you are guilty,
That's
but
not
you
true.
don't want to go to court.
That's not the
yes,
way our
that is
that's
exactly
not the way
what
the
the point
system
of
works.
settling is. Yes,
No,
you
it's
settle
not.
out. Yes.
He had a dissent decree, which they agreed that he would implement certain things in his organization. There was no fault granted. They did not prove
What were the
any,
things that
any
he had to
discrimin-
implement in his company?
recruiting. It was a form of it was that
I
he
think
had
you're
to have.
thinking about a different lawsuit
No.
against the Trump administration.
He had to make sure that they have job applications available to minorities.
No, this wasn't about jobs. This was about the Trump Corporation, the real estate. Yes, they violated the Fair Housing Act because
maybe we talking about something different.
Well, there were
because
2 times he was sued for racism.
I only
is the
know of
issue.
one time.
Yeah,
he
well,
had
you
a
should learn about the other one because
I
it
don't
was
think-
bad too. Yes.
I don't think you know what you're talking about.
I don't think you know
The
what you're
dissent
talking
decree, which was established, there was no findings of Donald Trump being a racist, and his organization has been without fault.
No, that was.
You cannot find a court
That is not
document
true.
that says that Donald Trump officially discriminated against anybody.
He literally marked.
What's your next one?
He literally marked black applicants.
What's your next one?
See, just an emotional argument, not steeped in any type of facts whatsoever. He's a racist. Why? Because he's a racist. That's all you need today. He's a racist. Why? Because he's a racist. That's why. Donald Trump is a racist because he's a racist. And any other, mostly for the most part, Republicans who are running for office, they're racist. Why? Because they're racist. There's never no concrete examples. You can never give any concrete examples to show racism. I dare anybody that's listening, 312-642-5600. 312-642-5600. Give me a concrete example of where President Trump has been racist. Well, Brandon Tatum, what about the separation of black families?
You act like it's a good thing for black people to be selling drugs in our community. It is not.
What is the leading cause of the separation of black families?
I think it's a degradation of values in the black community.
Would you say that the criminalization black men?
You hear that? You heard what he said, and she totally skipped right past what he said. No acknowledgement of it because she's already got in her mind. She's already created her answer to everything that they were going to discuss because they already know what they're going to discuss. The person that's coming in and sit down, they don't really know what they're going to discuss at all. So Brandon Tatum did a lot of this on the fly.
And disproportionately going to jail more has an effect on the separation of the black households.
I would agree.
Okay, watch this part because this is a key part.
To that, but I will also say that is because of the choices and decisions that these young black men are making.
Perfect. Thank you. I was hoping you would say that. So.
Is that not true? You don't go to jail.
Hold on,
you go to jail for
pause.
selling drugs.
Okay, you go to jail for selling drugs. Can I read you a quote from Nixon's domestic policy chief, John Ehrlichman? This is
You see how what did she do? She revisited the past again. What about today?
the start of the war on drugs, which we know is what led to a lot of mass incarceration of the black community, a significant increase in black men imprisoned and incarcerated for drug possession and selling, right?
Okay, hold on.
So here's the quote.
I'm gonna let you quote it.
Okay.
But we do recognize that there was decisions that were made by black people to sell drugs.
Absolutely. Now, can I read you the quote? This is John Ehrlichman, Nixon's domestic policy chief, right? He's responsible for primarily leading the war on drugs. We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the Vietnam War or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities.
I'm not familiar with that quote.
Oh, really?
But
shocking.
I can go and read it later, but that's still
You
not
should
getting,
really
it's
read it
not-
later.
That's not getting to the point of saying that people are incarcerated because decisions that they make to commit crimes. Is that not true?
Well, yes, that's
The
how
reason that none of
criminal-
us, the reason that
Do
none
you
of us,
want to
are-
respond to
the reason
what
that
he
none
just
of
said?
us, the reason that none of us are selling dope. Why? Because we don't want to go to prison. We value our lives. It does. If you
Listen, I gotta be honest with you. I sold dope when I was a kid. I did because I mean I had my mom was strung out on drugs. I had no money, and I realized that it wasn't for me. And I said to myself, I cannot go to jail. At the time, when I was a good-looking lad, I said, I'm too good-looking to go to jail. I do not want to go to jail. And I said to myself and to my cousins, yeah, I'm out. I'm not doing this because this is not me. I cannot do it. So, listen, I have no problem with her bringing up what Nixon's aide said, because that's factual. And what she said is actually factual. I mean, there were a lot of people. When you look at what the CIA, should I say that name? Should I say those 3-letter alphabets? But when you look at what they actually did and how they preyed on the black community, that is a fact. And I actually mentioned this in the book that I wrote called The Counterfeit Republic, The Targeting of Black America, and how what they were able to do, this is what allowed these people to rise up within the ranks in the black community and fight back against this. I have no problem with that. My problem is we still stay stuck there, as if a lot of the things that happened back then are still happening right now. There are some that are still happening, but not everything. It's just simply not. And I don't care how you want to, and I know I have an antagonist on my show, Phil from Blue Island, who continues to post me in all of these racially charged things as if that's the only view that you can have of America. Everything has to be seen through the lens of racism. I disagree with that.
You're going to sell drugs and you're going to kill people and you're going to commit robbery. You're going to go to jail.
Yes,
you can't blame all of that on the war on crime or whatever the case may be.
But the war on crime was specifically to get black men to go to jail.
So who took the war on crime and extrapolated it and made it even worse? In some people's eyes, not in my eyes. In some people's eyes, Bill Clinton, the '94 crime bill. Guess who led that? He was just president, I think. Glenn from Orlando.
Yeah, John, hi. Do you remember when Trump took in Jennifer Hudson and her family after the violent stuff that happened to her family?
Yes, he put her up.
How does a racist do that?
Well, yeah. I mean, the First Step Act, the First Step Act that he did, the funding of HBCUs on a permanent basis. We had a black president in Barack Obama. He didn't do that. President Trump did. The Platinum Plan, Glenn.
Who is the lady who is the czar of
Alice Johnson?
What do you call it?
The pardons.
Alice Johnson. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What she's been able to do, and the people think about this. Now, I don't know how people feel about this, but when President Trump pardoned or commuted Larry Hoover's sentence, now it's incumbent upon J.B. Pritzker, and I know Hoover's people are saying, hey, let's get this done. Either commute it, or pardon, or get off the bus. It's really that simple. And Alice Johnson and President Trump did their part. Who also changed the scheduling of marijuana? It was President Trump. It wasn't Bill Clinton or any of these people. It was President Trump making these decisions that have largely affected the black community. So if he's so racist, why wouldn't he keep the boot on the necks of the black people? He hasn't. Thank you, Glenn.
Sure.
He hasn't. Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Progressive presents the Museum of You. We begin our tour with a unique piece, a relic from the early big screen television era. Remarkable. Next, we find a juicer, which historians believe has only ever been used once. And finally, compact discs from the emo era. A rare find indeed. Some things should be history, but until then, you could protect what's important to you and save by bundling your auto insurance with a renter's policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Alex Marlow cuts through the political spin on the Alex Marlow podcast.
The economics of illegal immigration is so dumb. It's so stupid for Americans. We want American dollars to stay in America. That's how the economy grows. But if I pay an illegal alien and they send 50% of it home, the money doesn't go to American businesses. It goes to another country. Why do we want that? It's a race to the far left Islamist wing of the party.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right. Doing it right since 1959.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. Every growing business needs a strong team behind it. Over the years, Signature has been more than a financial partner. They've shared their knowledge, offered guidance, and connected us with trusted professionals who help strengthen our business. They're a valuable extension of our team and a true partner. That's why I value my relationship with Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
With so much financial uncertainty, are you wondering if your retirement savings will last? The market ups and downs can keep you guessing, especially if you're approaching retirement or considering it. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Nolan Webster. If you have more questions than answers about what's next, let's work together to help ensure you're prepared for your journey. After all, retirement isn't the end of the trek, it's the new beginning. Stop by our office in Palatine or call 224-801-6107. That's 224-801-6107. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at 2 different options: debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. How can you spot a racist? It's easy to do, especially in the protection racket media. Just look for those who bring race into arguments as non sequiturs in order to demagogue people whose opinions fall outside the elite's comfort zone. Thus we come to Howard Bryant and The Guardian. Reporters asked Indiana Fever star Sophie Cunningham to take a position on male intrusion on women's sports. Cunningham opposed it as the common sense position. In response, Bryant offered a bizarre rant in which he claimed Cunningham was anti-black as well as anti-transgender. This follows an equally bizarre essay from USA Today columnist Nancy Armour, which argued that Fever star Caitlin Clark should absorb more fouls without redress because Emmett Till got lynched in the 1950s. Rather than address the real issue, sports writers pulled a race card on both women. Sports media has become a new haven for craven and woke demagoguery. Don't trust them. I'm Ed Morrissey.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, that sound means it's time for another installment of In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights. Because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. The store Torrid is a women's clothing brand that has survived the demise of the mall. But the word torrid also describes the trip that Julius Caesar took with Cleopatra up the Nile River after securing her throne from her brother. This meant Egypt would be the breadbasket of Rome, greatly increasing its strength. In 44 BC, Julius was, of course, warned to beware the Ides of March, which meant the 15th of that month could be fateful. We all know Caesar's ultimate demise, but what also ended was his plan to get revenge on the Parthians in what is modern-day Iran for the murder of his wealthy rival Crassus, whom legend says had molten gold poured down his throat. Plutarch also mentions that Caesar had even more ambitious plans afterwards to go north through the Caucasus Mountains to take on the Scythians in what is now Ukraine, and then possibly even sweep into Germania from the east. If true, and it might not be, this would have been radical, but so were his prior conquests in Gaul and Britannia. Control of what later became known as Macinder's heartland of Eurasia would have made Rome unassailable, and world history would have been very different. Adolf Hitler was the only other historical figure who ever came close to realizing this in 2 separate campaigns. In 1941, his Operation Barbarossa across a wide front stopped short of Moscow. Failing at this, a giant pincer movement was envisioned for 1942 with his Case Blue operation focusing on capturing the Caucasus and its oil, while Desert Fox Erwin Rommel would take Egypt and then enter the Middle East. Losses at Stalingrad and El Alamein ended this threat. Today, wars rage in both theaters, and there is speculation they might merge. Zbigniew Brzezinski's grand chessboard is now in play, and we shall soon see if our own grand strategist, Alfred T. Mahan, was right about how powerful deep blue water fleets can be. Because if someone can control the heartland of Eurasia and the Middle East, the U.S. could become a second-rate power.
Wow. Frank, the history teacher. Frank, I got to have you on my show, Black and Right. I love to have a discussion of history, the lost art of understanding who we are. I would love to have that if you really are available.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I think you're on Saturdays, right?
I'm on Saturdays, yeah. Frank, the history teacher, thank you for that great lesson to get people started on their day. I really appreciate it.
Q, have a great one.
All right, you too. It's always good to learn history. History was actually one of my favorite. It was my favorite subject because I do love history, and one of the things that I do despise is the these revisionist people who are out there who give us a different perspective of history that never even truly happened, but it fits what they're trying to do, and that sucks. It really does, because if we really taught people who we are, now I will admit there's some things that when I was going through grammar school and high school I never learned. It wasn't until I got older that I started understanding what really happened in a lot of different areas in this country. And that right there, my friends, is a problem. It is now 7 o'clock on WIND Chicago.
It's primary day in 5 states. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I believe in the opportunity we have in front of us.
That's Abdul El Sayed, a Democrat in a Michigan Senate race getting the most attention.
Abdul El Sayed is the progressive who has the backing of the Democratic Socialists of America. He wants to abolish ICE, cut off U.S. aid to Israel, and has made Medicare for All one of his signature issues.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Detroit.
Republicans would love to see him win because they believe he would give the GOP nominee Mike Rogers the best shot at picking up this seat. And that's something Congresswoman Haley Stevens has hammered on throughout her campaign, that she has consistently beat Republicans and gives Democrats the best shot at keeping Michigan blue.
In Missouri, progressive Democrat Cori Bush trying to win back the seat in Congress she lost in 2024. And one of the questions on the Missouri ballot today
would eliminate state income tax over time. It'd be based on revenue coming in. You can't just pull $9 billion in annual revenue from a state and not replace it immediately.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni. There are also primaries today in Kansas, Virginia, and Washington State, where there's been an arrest. An arson suspect accused of setting one of the wildfires is burning the Spokane area, forcing about 70,000 people to evacuate.
He was found to be in possession of some waterproof matches and a butane lighter.
Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles, more than 700 homes and structures have burned. Iran keeps insisting it's not holding talks with the U.S. after being warned.
I want to give him every last chance before decapitation.
President Trump says negotiations are focused on reopening the Strait of Hormuz, then on Iran's denuclearization.
Fox's Aisha Hasni also reports from the White House.
Just a few hours ago, one person was reported missing after an unknown projectile hit a Liberia-flagged ship in the Strait. There was a fire reported on board. It is the 4th attack since Friday.
America's listening to Fox News. .702 in Chicago. 66 degrees. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, a Sugar Grove man is charged in a deadly crash last week in Kendall County. Carson Rakoff faces aggravated DUI charges. State police say the 22-year-old was driving a pickup Friday night when he collided head-on with another vehicle on Route 71 in Millbrook. The collision caused a 4-vehicle crash. Des Moines, Iowa residents Amy Lee Witter, James Witter, and a 4-year-old girl were killed. An Illinois State Police trooper is charged with sexual assault in Tinley Park. Prosecutors say Douglas Lee allegedly drugged a bartender in August of 2025 and took her to a Tinley Park hotel where he sexually assaulted her, according to the accusations. He was not on duty at the time. Lee ordered held in jail while awaiting trial. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's budget director is stepping down. Johnson announcing Annette Guzman is resigning. Her departure comes after the city's acting chief financial officer, Stephen Marr, resigned last week after only 8 months on the job. Meantime, the mayor's reacting to Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias' recent decision to run for mayor without naming names.
My job is to continue to govern and lead in this moment. And, as far as the politics of Chicago, there's a reason why we call it the Windy City.
Giannoulias is joined in the race by Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza. Mendoza says she is not running for re-election as comptroller and believes it is not ethical for Giannoulias to ask almost 13 million people to support him when he's seeking another office as well.
I'm all in for Chicago. Alexi is clearly all in for Alexi. And that's why he's hedging his bets and he's running for both offices. But as I said, Chicago deserves a mayor who's all in.
A boat capsized on Lake Michigan Monday evening on the south side. Crews responded to the 4400 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 7 on board, 3 adults taken to an area hospital in good condition. Chicago sports. Cubs outslugged the Dodgers 10-5 in their series opener at home. The News is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems protecting your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks, 708-889-5600. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Scott Jennings reviews the Fauci diaries.
If you look through these diaries, you see that Fauci himself had private concerns, private conversations, and private doubts that he refused to acknowledge honestly in the public, and the damage this did to the public health regime in America will take decades to undo.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments. Just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Sleep and relaxation just got smarter. The Zecliner by FlexSteel combines comfort with durable design, featuring custom adjustments like headrest, lumbar, heat, and massage, helping you unwind the right way. Whether you're watching TV or taking a well-earned break, Zecliner is built for you. Comfort, customization, and FlexSteel quality all in one chair. Experience the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Steinhofels.
The IRS just lost thousands of experienced agents. Unfortunately, your tax debt didn't disappear with them. Right now, the IRS is understaffed and overwhelmed. Now is the time to put your IRS issues behind you. Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS? Has the IRS garnished your wages yet? Have they grabbed your bank account yet? They will if you ignore them long enough. This is Patrick Noon with PJN Tax Solutions Group. We are a local tax resolution firm located right here in St. Charles, Illinois. Don't call some 1-800-FIRM 10 states away. We're right here. Listen, this is your window of opportunity. Our tax resolution team knows exactly how to leverage the chaos. But you need to act before the IRS regroups. Call us now. The IRS is in disarray. We are not. 630-415-5296. That number again, 630-415-5296. Or just Google, I want the IRS off my ASS.
7:07 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Fox Lake, we have a railroad crossing failure causing delays on Route 132 Grand Avenue between Rollins and Route 12 this morning. Southside, Washington Heights accident 95th and Vincennes. On the Southside, South Loop area, actually, police activity is closing Rubel northbound between Union and Taylor. On the expressways and toll roads, reminder, the Dan Ryan inbound off-ramp to Roosevelt Road is shut down due to that ongoing police investigation we told you about on Rubel, and an exit ramp on the Kennedy remains closed. It's the inbound off-ramp to Lawrence Avenue shut down. That retaining wall completely collapsed during the storms on Saturday, resulting in the shutdown of that ramp until at least August 10. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone when you download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now, check of the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 83. Tonight, expect some clouds and humidity with a low of 69. Tomorrow, anticipate mainly cloudy and humid conditions with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, followed by a couple of heavy thunderstorms in the afternoon. There is a possibility of ponding on roadways with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Chicago. This voice is not the voice of Dan Proft. It's John Anthony, host of Black and White Radio, heard every Saturdays from 4 to 7 p.m. right here on these airways. What's great is I just finished my 7th year of radio on Black and White. Yay! I'm really happy about that. But as I told you guys, I wrote a book. This is my second book that I've completed, called The Counterfeit Republic, and I was looking for stories to put into the book, and I found this story of retired Brigadier General Christopher Mookie Walker. I got to figure out how. I got to ask him, how did that Mookie name come up? And I found his story, and I just thought it was so fascinating. And I used it a few times in the book, and because I personally think there are plenty of people willing to offer an opinion about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or as I like to call it, DIE, in the United States military. My next guest offers something far more important than an opinion. He offers firsthand experience. Retired Brigadier General Christopher Mookie Walker spent approximately 4 decades serving in the United States Air Force and Air National Guard. He graduated from the United States Air Force Academy in 1988, became a master navigator, and accumulated more than 5,200 flight hours, including over 400 combat and combat support hours. He served in operations around the world, advised the Iraqi Ministry of Transportation, commanded at the squadron and group levels, and eventually became Assistant Adjutant General and Commander of the West Virginia Air National Guard. In that position, he was responsible for more than 2,100 members and 2 flying units. General Walker also brings a perspective that very few militaries can offer. From 2021 through 2023, he served in senior advisory assignments connected to the Air Force's diversity and inclusion operation inside the Pentagon. He attended the meetings. He heard the arguments. He also saw the priorities. He watched the military wrestle the difference between equal opportunity and engineered equity. General Walker later offered a warning that should command the attention of every American. Diversity is great, but you can't sacrifice meritocracy. I can't speak today. What the heck is going on? That statement carries particular weight coming from the first black person to become a brigadier general in West Virginia. He's not arguing that America should close doors. His argument is that the military must open the door to every qualified American while refusing to lower the standards required to defend the country. General Christopher Mookie Walker, welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, thank you for having me. So this is today is my 61st birthday.
Oh.
And so after this interview, I intend to get out there on the motorcycle and tear up the roads and then get to the range and do some long-range rifle shooting.
Oh.
But thanks for having me.
Hey, you talk about getting on the motorcycle in those mountains of West Virginia. That must be a sight, right?
Oh, Lord. I'll tell you what. While I was in D.C. at the Pentagon for a while, I actually sold my motorcycle because it was just too dangerous. Too many people texting and driving and rear-ending you in your car. And if you rear-ended on a motorcycle, you're done.
Yeah. Well, General, before we get into a lot of the DEI stuff, which I actually put in a book that I just recently wrote called The Counterfeit Republic, I want people to get to know you. You grew up in New York City with what you have described as strict Jamaican parents who instill hard work and patriotism in you. What did your parents teach you about America, discipline, and personal responsibility that stayed with you throughout your military career?
Well, my father came to this country in 1957 and my mother in 1959, and from Jamaica, where there was no such thing as welfare and other things. Everything was merit-based. If you work hard, then you come out on top. My father and I had actually a little headbutting for many years because he wanted me to be a physician, a doctor, either a doctor or a dentist. And all of the people that he would have mentor me were doctors or dentists, friends of his. And I said, no, I want to fly. And that was a big thing until I graduated from the Air Force Academy, and he saw the Thunderbirds fly over the stadium. He saw the president addressing our class, and he said, okay, maybe this is something good too. And that changed his mind. But everything about my parents were, you have to be the best. If I brought home a test that I got a 96 on, they'll go, what happened to the other 4 points? This is the kind of thing that a lot of people associate with Asian parents, but Jamaican parents are the same.
And you know, Brigadier General, as you look at how you were raised, not to see America as this oppressive country or as a country in which you would have to overcome obstacles but still could achieve something extraordinary. When you look at how a lot of people who come into this country and they hate America, when you look at how even some Americans are teaching their children to hate America, that's not how you were raised. And why is it important for people who are listening to this program to understand the greatness and just how great this country really is?
Oh, my goodness. If it weren't for this country, I would never be anywhere near where I am now. And quite honestly, I talk to some of these folks and say, if this country is so oppressive, why are people risking their lives to get here? So they are being indoctrinated with a sort of mindset that to hate this country when, okay, no country is perfect, but we, because of our Constitution, we have learned by our mistakes and we get better each time. It irked me to no end when I saw things happening in the last 10 years. For instance, I don't know if you remember this clip, this video that went around for a while of this woman looked like the Michelin Man in spandex with a lot of wild hair. Her name was Ashley Shackelford. I think she goes by Hunter Shackelford now.
Okay.
But she was talking to this mostly white progressive audience. And she stood next to this flip chart that read in large letters, "All white people are racist."
Yeah.
And then right under that, she had a PayPal handle underneath asking for money.
Of course.
And then in the video, she tells the room, "There will be no coddling of white tears."
Oh my.
Or white people are always going to be racist. And white people are born into not being human. And they're taught to be demons. And I said, what the hell? And sorry if that's...
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
All right. And me, as I came up as an operational person within the Air Force, on air crew in combat, I have white people who I would call my brothers and sisters who would die for me and I would die for them. And that insulted me. That to me was her spitting in my face.
Yeah.
And I can't take that.
Yeah. Well, General, I now want to turn to the portion of your career that I believe makes your voice especially important in this current debate. Your official military biography states that from February through September 2021, you were dual-hatted as the Air National Guard Assistant for Diversity and Inclusion, and from October 21 through September 23, you served as a special assistant to the director of the Air National Guard in connection with the Air Force Main Power, Reserve Affairs, and Diversity and Inclusion. Man, that's a lot of words. How were you selected for that assignment? Did you request it? Were you recruited for it? Or were you told that this was where the Air Force needed you?
Okay, so here's the inside baseball on that. So I was serving as the Assistant Adjutant General for the West Virginia National Guard, for the Air National Guard side, being the commander of the West Virginia Air National Guard. But then, at that time, in 2021, there were still some Trump appointees in control there at the top in the Department of the Air Force, whom I'd worked for before as dual-hatted as the assistant to the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force Manpower and Reserve Affairs. And they knew me and they knew the way I thought, and they helped to get me into that slot in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion because they knew that I would be a speed bump or even a bulwark to the crazy.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, I went in there saying, well, let's see what happens with this. Because in my mind, diversity in itself is not a bad thing.
Correct.
But the left had determined that diversity is only for immutable characteristics. And in their mind, that all black people, all women, and all lesbians, bisexuals, and gays thought the same. And so let's do our best to get those people or minorities in so that we can win the ideological war. And in my mind, diversity should be about your experiences, your ideas, your language skills, your cultural skills, your technical skills.
Yes.
But for them, diversity meant just your skin color. And I said, oh, okay, this is going to be bad. But let's see. But I was put in there for a reason. So I said, let's see what happens. And because I was reporting back to certain people what was going on. And so that's how I got put into that position.
Well, General, what did you find once you entered the meetings and began hearing the proposals? At what point did you recognize that the operation might be moving beyond equal opportunity and then into something ideological?
Holy smoke! So here's one. I'll give you a few examples. One. For your listeners, I encourage them to go on if they have the Angel Studios app, or if not, get it and watch a movie, the documentary called Call Sign Courage, which
wait. Did you say Call Sign Courage?
Call Sign Courage.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it is about a friend of mine named who was former Lieutenant Colonel Matt Lohmeyer. Okay, so he was He flew F-15s, and then he went into the Space Force, and he was a Space Force commander. And he was discharged in 2021 after publicly criticizing DEI ideology in the military.
Yeah.
Okay? And everything he said was true. But he was not advocating for Republicans or Democrats. He was just stating that, hey, this Marxist ideology is getting in here, and we ought to stop it. And they railroaded him. The Department of the Air Force, which the Space Force falls under, did him dirty.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he identified some things that were going on that I knew about as well. Well, for instance, at the Air Force Academy, which is where I graduated from and he graduated from, and it is supposed to be the elite commissioning source in the Air Force. It costs about $650,000 to $670,000 to educate each cadet and bring them to a second lieutenant, which is about 4 to 5 times the cost of ROTC and 9 times the cost of officer training school. Okay.
Yeah.
So they had these at that time. The Air Force Academy had these cadets who were DEI cadets who wore these, what we call them the purple robes, but they have these purple robes on their uniforms, and they reported through a separate chain of command, not to the commandant, but to the head of DEI at the Air Force Academy on diversity issues. And so this was an ideological enforcement layer inserted alongside our operational chain of command. It's sort of, I don't know if you read any Tom Clancy books.
Yes, played his video games too.
Yeah, but these are what we call the political commissars. Okay, matter of fact, they are, so they resembled the Soviet political commissars and similar systems in the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
Who monitored loyalty to the party rather than purely military competence in the chain of command.
Yeah, Brigadier General. Wait. We got about a minute and 30 seconds left. I want to get this out as it relates to when you look at your time in that position. If President Trump hadn't won and Pete Hegseth is not there at the Department of War now, how detrimental was these policies to the military?
Oh, Lord of mercy. Okay, they would have tore us to pieces. All right, we are supposed to be, future officers are supposed to be taught war and how to win wars, okay? Instead, they were being taught to tiptoe around DEI issues, okay? It was the erosion of the apolitical military ideal. The military is supposed to be nonpartisan and loyal to the Constitution and chain of command. When senior leaders treat DEI and criticism of DEI as a political offense while embedding ideological enforcers, they politicize the force and undermine the professional ethic, okay? The military's job is to win wars under the Constitution, not enforce progressive orthodoxy through parallel chains of command and informant networks. Matter of fact, I tell you, I even attended a course by Georgetown that was given to senior leaders, and they were trying to tell us that white people are the oppressors and minorities are the oppressed.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there going, what in the hell are they telling us? But it was all indoctrination instead of talking about war and teaching about war and how to win wars. And that's why I said, okay, enough is enough. But I was reporting all of this up through certain channels so that they would know what's going on and how to battle it in case President Trump won, and he did, and they are stomping it out now. But I'm telling you, these leftists are hiding, and they're waiting for the opportunity to pop up again.
All right. Well, he's Brigadier General Christopher Walker. I hope you do decide to don't give up on running for politics. I think your voice is needed, especially over there in West Virginia. And I want to say happy birthday, happy 61st birthday. 60 is the new, 40?
well, for me, because I've been ignoring my shape after retirement, 60's new 50 right now. But I'm going to get back to the 40s soon.
Brigadier General Christopher Mookie Walker, thank you so much for joining us on Chicago's Morning Answer today.
All right. Take good care.
And he joined us on the Alpha Wealth Group Answer Line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
So, Tim, let's check in on how you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Perhaps you have a story or two, a success story or two, an example of how you've helped clients recently.
I remember I had a neighbor who, believe it or not, was a longtime listener to your show. And he had come up to me in the yard and said he wanted to stop and smell the roses and kind of get out of his job. He was done taking the train downtown to Chicago every day and basically working 60 hours a week for a company that didn't really care about him or his family. So we started running numbers, and lo and behold, he was able to retire 5 years earlier. He's now 12 years retired. He's a grandpa. He's loving life. He, too, needed a protect and grow blueprint, and he had to make sure he wasn't leaving anything to chance for their future.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell them I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we talk with Mark Glennon, founder and executive editor of Wire Points of all things Illinois and Chicago. Now into the newsroom.
7:31 in the QC Kinetics newsroom. An Illinois State Police trooper is charged with sexual assault in Tinley Park. Prosecutors say Douglas Lee drugged a bartender in August of 2025, and prosecutors say police investigators then say he took her to a Tinley Park hotel where he allegedly sexually assaulted her. Now, the trooper was not on duty at the time of the incident. Lee was ordered held in jail while awaiting trial. President Trump says He's welcoming Todd Blanche's upcoming confirmation as the next Attorney General.
He's going to do a great job. Everybody knows it. And I understand there's been a sign-off, but I don't know what they agreed. I think Todd Blanche agreed to reconfirm things that he's already said.
On the Senate floor, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Instead of seeing Todd Blanche's so-called deal for the sham that it is, Senate Republicans are once again taking Trump's personal attorney at his word. All Blanche's deal does is accept the reality that Trump's MAGA slush fund is never getting through the courts.
Michigan Democrats are heading to the polls to choose a nominee for Senate in a closely watched primary race.
This race is getting so much attention for good reason. Not only is Michigan's Senate seat vital to Democrats' hopes of retaking the Senate, this race is also going to tell us a lot about where voters are and what direction the Democratic Party is heading. Abdul El-Sayed is the progressive. He wants to abolish ICE, cut off U.S. aid to Israel, and has made Medicare for All one of his signature issues. El-Sayed has been leading in most of the polls, and Republicans would love to see him win because they believe he would give the GOP nominee Mike Rogers the best shot at picking up this seat. And that's something Congresswoman Haley Stevens has hammered on throughout her campaign, that she has consistently beat Republicans and gives Democrats the best shot at keeping Michigan blue.
Rogers, a former Michigan congressman, is running unopposed in the GOP primary. And they're picking up after Lollapalooza in Grant Park. Chicago police say during the four-day event, 10 people were arrested, 67 were transported from Grant Park to area hospitals. Chicago sports, Cubs beat the Dodgers 10-5 in their series opener. Meantime, the Cubs were active ahead of yesterday's trade deadline, the team acquiring starter Clay Holmes and outfielder Tyrone Taylor from the Mets, among other moves. Meantime, the White Sox take on the Red Sox tonight, and they were active at yesterday's trade deadline. The team trading for Rockies outfielder Brenton Doyle and Braves catcher Joey Bart, among others. The News Service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Virago and by State Farm Insurance Agent Anthony DeGrotto.
It's Reveille. Last week, Americans got their first taste of accountability over the lies from government officials during COVID. The release of Fauci's diary and the hearing led by Senator Rand Paul revealed the many lies of Fauci and exposed his narcissistic arrogance. Rand Paul wrote, "My investigation uncovered that Anthony Fauci kept a diary. What he wrote privately and what he told the country are two different stories." Dr. Birx, Fauci's sidekick, also admitted that blue states took their recommendations too far and overclosed their state for political gain. And nobody bought into the COVID lies and lockdowns more than Governor Pritzker. He believed everything Fauci said without question. Masks, social distancing, 15 days to stop the spread, locking kids out of school, and more. He built a $66 million temporary hospital that housed about 30 people. His Illinois lottery ran a special, all in for the win, and gave away $10 million in cash and scholarships. People got a chance at the prizes if they took the shot. He spent $5 million promoting the slogan, "It only works if you wear it," to encourage mask wearing. His pandemic and unemployment fraud reached $5.2 billion. He released almost 4,000 inmates, including 64 murderers. And then he sent his family to Florida to live free from his own rules. What's worse, he hasn't learned anything since new information has come out. On August 13th, 2022, Fauci wrote that we cannot let the CDC put out a statement that shots don't work because that would undermine our ability to force people to take them. Despite this, 4 years later, Pritzker's administration still recommends the COVID shot, including for babies as young as 6 months old. Accountability is coming for Fauci, and this November, accountability should come for Pritzker. I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
7:38 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Capital One. Kennedy inbound, 37 minutes on your inbound trip. As you travel on the outbound side of the Kennedy, you're on the brakes Ontario to Montrose. Stevenson inbound, heavy on the exit ramp to the inbound Dan Ryan. The Dan Ryan right now on the inbound side, your off-ramp to Roosevelt Road shut down due to an ongoing police investigation. Delays on Route 53 this morning between the Ike and Kirchhoff on the northbound side, and an accident downtown Ontario and McClurg Court. Traffic is a service of Capital One. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase with the Capital One Venture X business card. Big purchasing power means you can spend more and earn more. Capital One Venture X business card. What's in your wallet? See CapitalOne.com for details. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your morning forecast. In the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center, sunshine and a few clouds with a high of 85.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running.
That sounds like Dan.
He's promising this and he's stealing that.
Welcome back
Where can you get that
to Chicago's
kind of
Morning Answer with John Anthony filling in for Dan Prof. Is that Dan Prof singing? If you synthesize his voice and... Yeah. Oh, Dan can't sing. I'm just joking. I know Dan can't sing. I've heard Dan and Amy tried to serenade each other, and it was probably some of the worst sound that I think I've heard in a very long time. But our next guest, he spent years examining the numbers of Illinois politicians would often prefer not to discuss. The true health of what's happening in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. Mark Glennon is the founder and executive editor of WirePoints. It's a Illinois-based research, commentary, and news organizations focused on government, finance, public policy, and the state's economy. Before founding WirePoints, Mark worked as an attorney and venture capital investor. He earned degrees in economics and political science from Northwestern University. So he knows a little bit about what he's talking about, and his law degree from the University of Minnesota Law School. WirePoints is my go-to for information, and I report a lot of what they report because it's true, it's factual, and there's no hedging or even trying to figure out if what they're saying is correct, because it is. Mark Glennon, welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Prof.
Hey, John, thanks for having me, and nice to meet you.
Yeah, well, we've met a few times, Mark, quite a few times. But Mark, you see all these people jumping in the race to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago. And you keep hearing, I think every last one of them that have jumped in, and they've had this message that what's happening in the city of Chicago, what's happening in the state of Illinois is unfair, and people can't survive. But Mark, when politicians discuss Chicago finances, they often describe the problem as a difficult budget year or a temporary revenue shortage. I think you've described something far more serious. What is the honest financial condition of the city of Chicago?
It's awful, and the trajectory is undeniable that it's going to get worse. The primary problem is that pension obligation, which grows and grows and eats our lunch out of the budget every year. There's a fundamental question of whether Chicago has a financial model that works. Even if you put in competent people into all the key positions, what could they do? I've often put down the challenge saying, show me just some rough numbers, a back of the envelope plan for setting this straight, making us competitive again in terms of tax load and quality of service. Nobody ever takes up that challenge. I'm concerned that there is no such plan, and this is like watching a train wreck in process, and that's, I hate to be that pessimistic, but that's what I see.
Now, I'm so glad that you brought up the unfunded pension liability, which I believe it was estimated at approximately $36 billion, I believe. Now, you've argued that some of the pension buyout proposals being discussed would largely move debt from one column to another instead of eliminating it. Explain to the listeners how a pension buyout can be presented as reform while also failing to reduce the underlying burden.
Yeah. When you take a buyout, they estimate the present value of all the future income you're going to get. And, they discount that to represent the fact that $1 30 years from now is not the same as $1 today. So you do get there's a big discount taken off of even that. You get a cash payment for the value of all that future income, for giving up all that future income. The question is whether that's a fair price. And we really don't know because no one's ever presented a true analysis of this. So, yeah, it reduces the unfunded pension liability when you do that. If somebody takes a buyout, that erases some of the debt owed by the pension to the pensioner. But the city has to pay for that, or the state, if the state is doing it. And they do that by borrowing money.
Yeah.
So you add a debt onto the other side. You have to pay interest on that. It's not clear that this doesn't work. It might work, but what's for sure is that the benefit of this is exaggerated. You often see politicians and the press simply citing that reduction in the unfunded liability that results. And that's not a true measure of the result. That's just looking at half of the equation because you got to pay for it.
Right.
And
back in 2013, I actually served in the General Assembly, and we bore witness what happened in Detroit. And the very next day, we passed the pension restructuring plan, and it was shot down at the Supreme Court. But when you look at what's happening, I joined as a chief co-sponsor a Chapter 9 solvency for the city, for the cities who are especially like the city of Chicago. Are we nearing a time where you think? I mean, you look at $36 billion in unfunded pension debt liability. I believe in the state is over close to $200 billion or just a little under $200 billion in their unfunded pension debt liability. What are your thoughts on this Chapter 9 bankruptcy? Doesn't mean that they don't have to pay their bills. There's just a restructuring. Would that help a place like the city of Chicago?
Great question, and there's 2 points on that. Number one, for sure, the state ought to authorize that for many reasons. I testified along with my partner in Springfield on, perhaps it was your legislation, suggesting that it would put a lot of discipline into the process that we need. But you don't know for sure whether that would even help Chicago. I mean, could bankruptcy solve Chicago's problems? Well, you have to have a viable restructuring plan, which goes exactly to my earlier point of what is that plan. with these pensions so underfunded, you're not just going to slash these pensions down to 28%, whatever their funding level is right now. That would throw the pensioners out on the street. Maybe you can make some fair adjustments to the pensions. Bankruptcy allows that. Detroit did it. That gave them a fresh start. But Detroit had a lot of things going for it that we do not have, including they happened to discover $1 billion in cash value in an art museum that they had, that went a long way to making their reorganization plan work. They restructured their school system by basically shutting down the old one and creating a new one, which is something I wish we'd do as well. And they had an excellent emergency manager and an excellent judge. So they had things going for them. And most importantly, too, we've been selling off assets to pay our bills, selling off body parts. Specifically, the city of Chicago sold the value of its future sales tax income in order to pay for borrowing, pay for bonds. So that money's not that'll probably hold up in bankruptcy too. That money's not available to put into a reorganization plan.
Now, also Detroit or Michigan didn't have a constitutional protection for their pensions also. So I think that also helped them in a lot of ways. But you just mentioned the bond market. Now, you've warned that the bond market signals, they reveal more about Chicago's condition than political speeches or budget presentation. What is the bond market telling us about Chicago that City Hall is not, and what specific warning signs should ordinary taxpayers watch for?
Yeah, technically, if you get into it, you look at the spread between the market rate of interest that's the Chicago bonds are trading on compared to other bonds. So that's, of course, has been widening. I don't know what that spread is off the top of my head right now. But also even the rating agencies have come down recently and gotten stricter on Chicago. They're starting to wake up to this. They've been notoriously late to identifying crises when they arise. But there's a good op-ed by a debt expert in the Center Square that we have posted at Wire Points right now, explaining that and detailing it. So, it's very troubling, and Chicago's not going to default immediately on its bonds, I don't think. So there's no immediate concern, but, in the longer term or even the intermediate term, it's certainly a concern. My experience from debt workouts and everything is to address the problem fast and decisively. If you talk to people who have had experience with it, they'll say the first thing you do is stop paying interest on the bonds. That'll get people's attention. You'll start getting some action in negotiating better terms with some of the city's creditors.
Well, that's a really good point. And you guys, I saw this article where you guys were talking about Illinois is losing its future, and the out-migration, or as former Representative Mark Batnick used to call it the brain drain, because we lose a lot of our young and brightest to other states. Who is leaving, and why does that departure matter so much to the future of not just Chicago but the state of Illinois?
Well, they had so much vibrancy to a city. One of the things that is still working to a pretty good extent is the startup community here, but we've got a lot of competition all around the country. It's not just a Silicon Valley anymore, but many cities now have very good startup communities, and obviously those people, young people with good future incomes, are key to adding a lot, and they have kids. It adds all kinds of intangible value to a community. You see that in Texas, Tennessee, and other places. It's just an entirely different spirit that permeates the place, and we are losing that. Those young college people, and I got a lot of graduates here. That's one advantage we have, is good people coming out of good schools. But they're not sticking around here. We've had articles posted earlier about that brain drain, and it's true.
Yeah, if you're just joining the show, we're talking with Mark Glennon. He's the founder and executive editor of WirePoints. You know, one of the things that J.B. Pritzker likes to talk about is, you know, we've had a lot of credit upgrades, and you know, we have stabilized our economic structure here in the state of Illinois. But a lot of that happened during the COVID years when the federal government was sending gougods of cash. And prior to the invasion that happened amongst the city of Chicago, who's telling the truth? Have we stabilized, and can we continue at this pace that this governor is taking us down, or down this road? Can we continue that?
From purely the government's perspective, there has been some degree of stability added because of what you described, that flush of money from the federal government, and most importantly, all these tax increases that Pritzker has benefited from. And then they include, by the way, that huge income tax increase that happened in the year prior to Pritzker coming into office. So tens of billions of dollars more have been available for Pritzker to work with. Well, of course, you're going to get some stability out of that, but it comes out of the pockets of our people here, and we know what the consequence of that is that in the long term they leave. It takes a while for them to leave. They don't just up and run away. But we've seen the gradual drip of people leaving out, especially taxpayers, which is borne out in the IRS migration numbers, which don't lie, and we've publish them in detail every year when they come out. Tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars of lost adjusted gross income goes with all these people who are leaving, and it is primarily the upper income people who are taking off.
Mark Glennon, my closing question: Are you optimistic that Illinois can still be repaired, or have these political incentives made meaningful reform nearly impossible without a full-blown crisis? And do you think that full-blown crisis is at the door?
I think it's going to have to get a lot worse before it gets better. Call it a crisis if you want, that we're going to have to go through because politically the voters haven't reacted to this. The politicians remain intent on simply ignoring the problem. Pritzker actually thinks he can run for president on his economic record. That's what he's doing. They get away with it largely because our press lets them get away with it. So I don't necessarily predict one moment of blow up. I think it's a process, not an explosion, and that process is going to get worse and worse until the electorate finally wakes up, and there's going to be a lot of pain in the process. I view this as an exercise in disaster mitigation, not avoidance. It's going to be a matter of trying to pass things that help the innocent victims, try to get things done like school reform and some fairness in taxation and all the rest. But it's going to get worse.
Oh, my goodness. We got to leave it there. Mark Glennon, founder and executive editor of WirePoints. Thanks so much for joining us on Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I love what the work you guys are doing at wirepoints.org.
Thanks so much, John. Take care.
All right. That's Mark Glennon, and he joined us on the Alpha Wealth Group Answer Line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
You know I don't push products I don't believe in, so listen up because this one I love and recommend to friends and listeners. It's Virago Liquid Immune Support. Now I spoke with Dr. Hubert, the creator of Virago, and let me tell you, this man knows immune health like nobody's business. He explained to me the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights back against viruses, disease, inflammation, all of it. That's why he created Virago. It's a liquid immune boosting supplement packed with 23 powerful nutraceuticals working together in synergy. It's antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and even protects your heart, kidneys, and liver. And because it's liquid, your body absorbs it quickly. I mix Virago in my smoothies. I feel the difference, and you will too. So order your bottle of Virago today at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com, coupon code IMMUNE.
If moving safely around your home is a concern, you deserve clear answers, not a sales pitch. Access will help you improve home accessibility with practical solutions like lifts, grab bars, and home modifications, designed to fit your home, your needs, and budget. Experienced professionals will take the time to explain your options so you can make an informed decision. If staying safe and comfortable in your home matters to you, start with a free in-home consultation. Call Access at 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
This is the Sheriff's Office. We have a report of missing employees at Hassleus Mattress.
Yes, Hassleus Mattress showrooms are employee-free.
You're confessing?
That's how we keep our prices way low. And through Monday, trade in your old mattress and take $248 off a queen and $348 off a king.
Sounds suspicious.
Free next day delivery, too.
Dispatch, I need a police escort for a Hassleus Mattress delivery truck to my house.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassleus.com.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they helped me. They calmed me down. They made me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. Sign up to become an AM 560 Advantage member at 560theanswer.com. News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
There may be a deal today or tomorrow. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That's what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said this morning, sending oil prices down another 3% after President Trump had paused bombing to let talks to try to get oil and other shipping flowing freely again. However, Iran keeps up the attacks in the Strait.
Overnight, at least 2 cargo ships were hit with unknown projectiles, according to maritime tracking groups. At least 1 crew member is reportedly missing from one of the vessels. The incidents do come as the U.S. naval blockade remains in effect. CENTCOM says that as of August 3rd, they have redirected 44 commercial vessels and disabled 2 others.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. The Senate Judiciary Committee is gathering and may vote soon to approve Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's nomination to be AG full-time.
A key step to confirmation that had been blocked by a pair of Republican senators. But John Cornyn of Texas and Thom Tillis of North Carolina dropped objections after Blanche pledged in writing to end a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund included in a settlement between President Trump and the IRS.
These people were treated horribly, and this fund could have given them some solace.
The president has suggested asking Congress to revive the compensation fund.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. 5 states are holding primaries today, with a Democrat in Michigan getting a lot of attention. Abdul Al-Sayed is running for Senate, backed by Democratic Socialists.
I believe in the opportunity we have in front of us to correct both the moral failures of the past and the moral failures of our present.
He's taking on Congresswoman Haley Stevens.
A Republican in this race, he said, my opponent's going to make it easier for him to win. Well, I don't plan on making anything easier for these guys.
That Republican, the winning Democrat, will face in November is Mike Rogers. There are also primaries in Kansas, Virginia, and Washington State and Missouri. Progressive Cori Bush trying to win a House seat back. America's listening to Fox News.
70 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, an Illinois State Police trooper is now charged with sexual assault in Tinley Park. Prosecutors say Douglas Lee drugged a bartender in August of 2025, taking her to a Tinley Park hotel. Illinois State Police believe he was not on duty at the time of the incident, and prosecutors say Lee was ordered held in jail while he awaits trial. Cleanup continues in Grant Park following the last performance of Lollapalooza. 10 were arrested during the 4-day event, 67 transported by ambulance. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's budget chief is stepping down. Johnson announcing Annette Guzman is resigning. Guzman joined the administration in 2023. Her departure comes after the city's acting chief financial officer, Stephen Marr, resigned last week after only 8 months on the job. A boat capsized in Lake Michigan Monday evening on Chicago's south side. 7 were on board when the boat flipped over. 3 adults were taken to the hospital in good condition. Cubs outslugged the Dodgers 10-5 in their series opener, while the White Sox will take on the Red Sox at Fenway tonight. The news service of the AM 560 store, T-shirts, hoodies, and more at 560theanswer.com/store. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature, a division of Esquire Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
McDonald's is reporting a mixed quarter, though earnings topped expectations and the stock is up more than 0.5%. Also, Sky Anderson, a company veteran, will take over its U.S. business. He takes over from Joe Erlinger, who's been leading that unit since 2019. In recent months, sales rose, though its number of guests declined. More of its customers are buying higher-priced items. Caterpillar says for the first time in company history, it generated more than $20 billion in sales and revenue in a single quarter. Its earnings topped expectations. Caterpillar shares are up 6%. Shares of BP and Marathon Petroleum shares are higher after both reported stronger earnings than forecast. And Pfizer's quarter was upbeat. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Coselda. Invested in you.
Alex Marlow understands why Iran is still fighting.
They see it as a win-win, and they see that they can beat Trump in an attritional manner. Basically, they can hold on longer if they're willing to hold on longer. And we lose the war at home, the PR war, then they feel like they can declare victory. And so the longer they can drag this thing out, the better. That's their approach.
The Alex Marlow Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1796, George Washington made one of the most consequential decisions in American history. He chose not to seek a third term as president. So why does that matter? Because America was not built on permanent rulers. It was built on ordered liberty. Faith teaches that authority is a stewardship, not a possession. Leaders are accountable to God for how they use power. And why does that still matter today? Because republics survive when leaders respect limits and citizens defend them. Washington's lesson still stands. A republic is preserved when power has limits, and public service remains a duty to God and country, not a path to personal rule.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
So the Democratic message for the 2026 midterm is, we don't love America. That's it. The message from the left is, as long as people that we don't like are allowed to win elections, we hate America. That's a heck of a thing to be running an election on. We hate America.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Have you ever wondered, with all the different religions and interpretations of the Bible, how you can be sure that you're on the right path in your spiritual journey? The powerful new book, You and God by Peter Philippi, helps you answer this question and discover how to establish a truly personal relationship with God through biblical understanding and faith. Get your copy of You and God by Peter Philippi today by visiting pbmusa.org. That's pbmusa.org.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments. Just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Sleep and relaxation just got smarter. The Zecliner by FlexSteel combines comfort with durable design, featuring custom adjustments like headrest, lumbar, heat, and massage, helping you unwind the right way. Whether you're watching TV or taking a well-earned break, Zecliner is built for you. Comfort, customization, and FlexSteel quality all in one chair. Experience the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Steinhofels.
8:08. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. In Elwood, Route 53 north and southbound between Manhattan Road and Breen Road entirely shut down. Serious crash there involving a motorcycle, and medical helicopters are being sent to that scene. Traveling on Route 53 northbound between the Ike and Kirchhoff, you're on the brakes in that construction zone. Lakeshore Drive jams up northbound right at Foster. An accident cleared southbound on Lakeshore Drive just before Roosevelt Road. Heavy and slow on the Kennedy inbound, now 45 minutes into the Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 83. Tonight, expect some clouds and humidity with a low of 69. Tomorrow, anticipate mainly cloudy and humid conditions with periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, followed by a couple of heavy thunderstorms in the afternoon. There is a possibility of ponding on roadways with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Chicago. John Anthony filling in for Dan Proft. I'm also the host of Black and Right Radio, heard every Saturday right here on these airways from 4 to 7 p.m. and also in Michigan from 5 to 7 Eastern Standard Time. The times are 5 to 7 there, as I stated, on 92.7 FM and AM 1400, The Answer. You know, our next guest, I when Quinn sent me this information, I said, oh, yes, definitely. I definitely want to talk to him because I really do believe there will be a battle for the future of the Republican Party, and I think it's already begun. Even though the 28 presidential election remains more than, two years away. Some of the questions that I've had, will this next Republican nominee, will this person inherit and takes charge and leads the Donald Trump's America First movement? or will they return it to the party of its pre-Trump roots, or is there something that's going to be entirely new that's going to be created? I mean, you see the names that are being bandied about, Vance, Rubio, that might be the ticket. DeSantis may think about it. Thomas Massie is thinking about running for president. But and so I that's one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to talk to our next guest. But at the same time, another debate is unfolding over American foreign policy. You have these conservatives who are arguing that Cuba, Iran, and these radical leftist movements and these anti-Israel activism, and because they're truly, certainly revolutionary governments, are connected by this ideology known as Luke Nicastro has termed a third worldism. He's also senior editor at the American Conservative and former national security advisor to Senator Josh Hawley. Luke, welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thanks so much for having me.
Luke, before we debate whether third worldism is a useful term, what exactly do its proponents mean when they use it?
So they basically use it as a way of describing what they see as the worldview of essentially America's enemies, at least those of its enemies that are in what is conventionally called the third world. So the Iranian regime, the Cuban government. They even apply it to some internal critics like Mayor Zoran Mamdani of New York City. And basically what they mean by this worldview is a way of understanding the world that divides it between oppressors, who are basically the West, so the wealthy, developed societies of Europe and North America, and they'll throw Israel in too, and then the oppressed, which is basically everybody else. And the supreme imperative of this worldview, at least according to those who think it is a meaningful kind of way of understanding the world, is that the oppressed have to overthrow the oppressors. It's kind of like this fetishization of victimhood, if you will.
Yeah, when you look at this, the basic third worldist worldview, do you think it could, because it reportedly divides this international politics between a dominant global North and an oppressed global South? Isn't that framework genuinely influential within Marxist, anti-colonial, academic, and progressive movements?
Yeah, I mean, there's something to it, right? I mean, I don't want to dismiss it entirely out of hand. What I am more concerned about is the way that it is being used as a catch-all label that flattens complexity and simplifies a very sort of difficult world in ways that I fear will generate policies, including maybe some military interventions, that are going to be really bad for this republic.
Yeah. I saw the video. I wish if I hadn't been out speaking last night, I would have had that video where Secretary of State Marco Rubio talked about Cuba's influence in what we see in a lot of the revolutionary stuff that's going on with the protests and things like that nature, that they've actually found a nexus, a connection of who's actually funding it. How important is it? Because I've said on my own radio show, where's RICO to determine when you see a lot of this stuff, you see all these items being bought, bricks being bought, and you know that there's somebody behind this. How important is it to break that up here in America and remove those influences?
So, I mean, I'll say I think that threat is pretty exaggerated.
Okay.
I read the report. I read the 100-page Cuba report that Secretary Rubio's State Department put out. The vast majority of that report is concerned with things that happened before I was born, right? It's very, I mean, to be candid, it's very focused on the Cold War. And yes, Cuba was a really kind of threatening adversary during the Cold War, not so much because of its absolute power, but because it was 90 miles off the coast of the United States, right?
Yeah.
But the situation's changed, right, over the last 60 to 70 years. And you look at Cuba today, it's an island nation of 8.5 million people. It can't keep the lights on. It can't feed its own people. I think its leaders are much more concerned about staying in power and continuing to steal from their own citizens than they are with trying to overthrow the richest and most powerful society that's ever existed in human history, which is to say the United States.
Yeah. Now, Luke, you see across this country and even in some other parts of the world, this is Israel, this anti-Semitism. Where is this coming from? And What does it mean to the people here in America with all of this? I mean, you see the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons, everybody that is going after one of America's oldest friends, and it's only true friend in the Middle East, some might say. How important is it to maintain that relationship with Israel? And is it fair to have criticism of Israel?
Oh, it's eminently fair. I actually think the relationship needs to be totally revised. I think that the relationship that the United States has with Israel today is very damaging to American national interests. And I think that a lot of the criticism that Israel is receiving is a result of its own actions, whether those are in Gaza, whether those are in Lebanon, whether those are in Iran, right? I mean, the coverage of sort of the origins of the war that this country finds itself embroiled in really emphasizes the degree to which Israel was instrumental in persuading us to launch it when we did. And I think that's been a very destructive thing for us.
But see, I look at the flip side of that. You look at what happened with Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York, and how he said he wanted to arrest Bibi Netanyahu. What authority and what power? But then there was a reporter that posed to him, well, what about what happened on October 7th? And he really hemmed and hawed and really didn't answer that. So a lot of these atrocities, I've been to Israel. And a lot of these atrocities that he's saying, and in which America doesn't even acknowledge the International Criminal Court. I mean, when you look at somebody like this Zohran Mamdani, that's coming out and is now the face of DSA and things of that nature, how crucial it is to put a cap on these DSA people that are running for office. Not a cap on them.
Well, so look, I'm not a Mamdani supporter. I'm somebody who is certainly on the right. But I think that a lot of what those people are tapping into with respect to Israel is real and has kind of a bipartisan basis. Now, to your point about ignoring the atrocities, I do agree with that, right? And I think that's reprehensible. I think that you have to be willing and able to acknowledge the savagery and the barbarism of Hamas. I mean, I've been to Israel, right? I've seen some of the kibbutzim that were attacked on October 7th. It's gruesome. It's really horrifying, right? You have to be able to condemn that. So I totally agree there. But it's also eminently fair to criticize the actions of the government of Israel. Since October 7th and beyond just Gaza, right, you look at kind of the sorts of influence that they've had in the Middle East, where I would argue they've been more of a destabilizing than a stabilizing factor. And I think criticizing Israel on those grounds is entirely legitimate. And I think that there is a lot of appetite in this country to revise that relationship. And that's part of what Mamdani and some of these other DSA folks are tapping into. Now, the other stuff, the woke stuff, I think people are done with. I think the economic stuff, once they see how that turns out in practice, like they may not be quite so keen on it. But there are real grievances that these people are tapping into.
That I agree with, and I actually I just finished writing a book called The Counterfeit Republic, and I talk about the grievances in which what led to the people like Zohran Mamdani and the DSA and the communists who have decided to rise again. But I want to pivot because back in 2015, I was with Marco Rubio's campaign leadership team in the state of Illinois. And you wrote that the most likely 2028 Republican nominee will either be Vice President J.D. Vance or Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I'm a huge Marco Rubio fan. What makes those two men, in your estimation, the early favorites? And what could happen between now and the primaries that would weaken their positions?
Well, I think what makes them the favorites is just like the high positions that they occupy, the fact that they're in government, right? In the case of J.D. Vance, he's the second highest elected official in the country. In the case of Marco Rubio, I mean, he's leading one of the most important departments in the cabinet. And I think both men have had, in various ways, like pretty strong records of success. Now, I think they represent divergent tendencies. And my own sort of personal predilections put me much more on the side of Vance than on the side of Rubio. But I think that they are both displaying a competence and a skill that, in addition to the fact that they're, in government right now, and that, whomever Trump ends up supporting or endorsing is going to clearly weigh very, very heavily on the minds of the Republican electorate. All of these things, to me, elevate Vance and Rubio above anybody else in the sea of potential contenders.
So do you think Vance and Rubio, do you think they'll represent this genuinely different directions for the Republican Party, or would either man largely continue President Trump's America First agenda, or do you think there'll be like a tweaking of it?
I think they represent different visions. I think J.D. Vance is much more of what I would consider to be America First.
Yeah.
I think that, Rubio stands for a much more interventionist foreign policy of the sort that I think actually a lot of Trump voters were voting against and wanted to see less of. I think Vance is sort of truer to that vision. I also think that Vance is more sort of genuinely populist. I think to the extent that the party is going in this kind of like common good direction where we're getting away from the sort of free market or laissez-faire extremism that characterized the Republicans of the past and more towards this Trumpian, populist, we're a little bit more comfortable doing things like, for instance, having the government take equity stakes in companies. Yeah. We're a little more comfortable with like entitlement programs. We don't want to cut Medicaid, we don't want to cut Medicare. So Vance is more that. I think Rubio is also sympathetic to some of that stuff, but is a little bit more in the vein of the traditional Republican Party.
Yeah.
So I would argue that those are kind of the major differences between the two men.
Yeah, and Rubio is considered a neocon more so than J.D. Vance, who's more of a let's have a conversation. Sure. Now, you served as Senator Josh Hawley, National Security Advisor until recently. Now, I'm telling you, he puts on one of the best cases of prosecution in any committee that he's in. What did you learn from working with him that the public does not fully understand about his political philosophy or governing priority? Because the more I hear him talk, the more I want him on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, he's genuinely. I would say he's like clearly like the smartest man in the Senate today and in Congress today. He's just so incredibly intellectual and genuine, and he has this vast erudition that informs a lot of his positions. So I guess that's something that some people might not realize is you see this guy and he is just really hammering these just like crazy leftists who come before the committee, right?
Yeah.
But he's also an intellectual, right? And he is just very sort of well spoken. He's the same guy in committee and outside of committee. So that's what I would say about Josh Hawley.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I think he will be I don't know what his ambitions are. Does he want to run for president or not? But I'm telling you, he's young. The guy is gifted. He's smart, and he understands the law better than probably anybody that I listened to on the Hill today, outside of Mike Lee. But you talked also about these three competing visions: fusionism, populism, and libertarianism. And in that, you talk about Cruz, Hawley, and Paul as these representatives of fusion, populism, and libertarians. Which of these philosophies most you think, in your estimation, closely reflects the Republican voter today? And do these three guys stand as that threat against a Vance Rubio ticket?
Yeah, I think, so it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I think that all three of those tendencies are present in the Republican electorate today.
Okay.
I think that historically fusionism has been the dominant ideology, which is this notion of basically like you're blending this, it goes back to Reagan, really, this kind of like strong foreign policy with a very kind of market-friendly economic policy and a commitment to traditional social values, right?
Yeah.
I think that populism is more of the direction that President Trump has been taking the party. But libertarianism it's never been the dominant trend, but it's always kind of been there under the surface. Americans are very individualistic. They're very jealous of their liberties. And people like Rand Paul do actually speak, I think, for quite a lot of Republican voters and also for, instincts that some Republican voters, maybe they're not like fully libertarian, but, on certain things like the Second Amendment say, I think that they're kind of like the truest exponents of what many, many Republican voters think.
I saw that photo of Thomas Massie and a lot of those guys getting together and talking about no new wars. My only issue with that was we can't defend ourselves. We can't stop this evil regime of Iran who should have been dealt with decades ago should they, because they continue to attack and kill Americans, we're not supposed to go after and destroy these people. That was the only part I had with those, and I do stand with Israel over this as it relates to Gaza and Iran. I've been a strong proponent of Israel, and I've taken a lot of flack for it. And I really don't care, Luke. But people in this day and age, we can't have opposing views and still get along. That's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah. I think polarization is a real issue.
Yeah. Well, Luke Nicastro, we're gonna have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thanks so much for having me.
He's a senior editor at the American Conservative, former national security advisor to Josh Hawley, and he joined us on the Alpha Wealth Group Answer Line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind, which has to be rewarding. Doing it a long time. You've got a lot of success stories on a daily basis, I'm sure. Can you give our listeners an example of a family that you've helped out recently that comes to mind?
We had a 65-year-old call who had been listening to your show, and he called us and he said, he wanted to know, do I have enough assets? I'm really tired of working. I'm burnt out, etc. And he didn't know if he had the resources, and he didn't have the knowledge to get to the answer of that. So we helped him prepare a Protect and Grow blueprint. And by doing that, we helped position his money for income and cut back on the risks that they had in their current portfolio.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1796, George Washington made one of the most consequential decisions in American history. He chose not to seek a third term as president. So why does that matter? Because America was not built on permanent rulers. It was built on ordered liberty. Faith teaches that authority is a stewardship, not a possession. Leaders are accountable to God for how they use power. And why does that still matter today? Because republics survive when leaders respect limits and citizens defend them. Washington's lesson still stands. A republic is preserved when power has limits. And public service remains a duty to God and country, not a path to personal rule.
When your joints hurt every day and you've been told you need surgery, do your homework. Once a joint is replaced, there's no going back. Hey, it's Dan Proft. Before you schedule surgery, get a second opinion from my friends at QC Kinetics. I personally recommend them. Whether you're dealing with pain from bone-on-bone arthritis, torn meniscus, or years of wear and tear, surgery isn't your only conversation. Talk to Dr. Caravelli and her team at QC Kinetics. They use regenerative treatments to deliver relief to patients like you. You'll start with a medical evaluation, reviewing your history, any imaging, and the actual source of pain. If you're a good candidate, they'll concentrate tiny healing tools within your body right in the spot that's causing pain. The whole idea is to give you a real shot at holding off on surgery, or in some cases, avoiding it altogether. Don't accept surgery as your only option. Call QC Kinetics today for a second opinion. The conversation and consultation are free, and weekend appointments are available. Call 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Once more, call 312-827-6261.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we talk to John Lott, Ph.D., president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. He's also the former senior advisor for research and statistics at the U.S. Department of Justice Office. More of that when we get back. Now into the newsroom.
73 degrees and a pleasant good morning from the QC Kinetics newsroom. An Illinois State Police trooper is charged with sexual assault in Tinley Park. Prosecutors allege Douglas Lee drugged a bartender in August of 2025, then took her to a Tinley Park hotel where prosecutors say he sexually assaulted her. Lee was not on duty at the time and is being held in jail while awaiting trial. A Sugar Grove man is charged in a deadly crash last week in Kendall County. Carson Rakoff faces aggravated DUI charges. The 22-year-old, according to state police, was driving a pickup Friday night when he collided with another vehicle on Route 71 in Millbrook. The collision caused a 4-vehicle crash. Des Moines, Iowa residents Amy Lee Witter, James Witter, and a 4-year-old girl were killed in that wreck. The first deaths linked to the cyclosporiasis outbreak are now being reported in Michigan. Dr. William Schaefer of the Vanderbilt University School of Medicine tells us it's rare for the severe stomach illness to become fatal.
Most at risk are people at the extremes of age, the very old, the very young, and people with chronic underlying medical conditions.
Michigan has reported more than 11,000 cases of the illness linked to lettuce, in part from Taylor Farms served at Taco Bell. Michigan Democrats heading to the polls to choose a nominee for Senate in a closely watched primary race. Mike Rogers, a former Michigan congressman, is running unopposed for the GOP in that primary. 4 other states are holding primaries today. Chicago sports. Cubs were winners on the front end of a series with the Dodgers, a 10-5 victory at home. Meantime, Cubs active at yesterday's trade deadline. Among several players, the team has acquired pitching starter Clay Holmes and outfielder Tyrone Taylor from the Mets. White Sox take on the Red Sox tonight. Sox were also active at the trade deadline, among others trading for Rockies outfielder Brenton Doyle and Braves catcher Joey Bart. The News, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by LeavingIL.com and by Unique Wooden Flags.
Step right up and see the magnificent Beck sofa at Penny Mustard.
What's with this circus getup?
Ever seen a clown car?
With clowns that keep climbing out one after another?
Exactly. The Beck sofa is Penny Mustard's clown car.
How so?
The Beck's appears to be a petite, apartment-sized sofa.
Yeah.
But it can hold contortionists, lion tamers, and the ringmaster too.
Step right up and see the Beck sofa, starting at $1977 at Penny Mustard.
Now open in Algonquin.
PennyMustard.com.
Why does Progressive help support truckers? Because truckers unite the world. Truckers unite whistles and lifeguards. Truckers unite fitness devices with people who don't exercise. Truckers unite your aunt with those live, laugh, love signs. But truckers can't do any of this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive helps safe truckers save an average of $6,181 when they elect to share their ELD data with us. Get a quote at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. 2025 National Average Safe Driver Enrollment Discount Savings for new Progressive customers exclude the mandatory program participants. Not available in all states. Driving data could increase or decrease premiums at renewal.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
8:36, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eisenhower Expressway this morning. Accident left lane block inbound in the avenues at First Avenue. It involves a motorcycle and police are on the scene. Dan Ryan stop and go inbound on the brakes, Garfield into Roosevelt. Jane Addams, I-90 eastbound on the brakes, Meacham to Route 53. Just a reminder in Elwood this morning, Route 53 in that southwest suburb. Route north and southbound between Manhattan and Breen Road, both directions entirely shut down due to a crash with serious injuries. A medical helicopter has landed and has already lifted off with the rider because that was a motorcycle crash this morning in Elwood, and police remain on the scene. Traffic, a service of Capital One. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase with the Capital One Venture X business card. Big purchasing power means you can spend more and earn more. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sunshine and a few clouds and a high of 85.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest.
Welcome back to Chicago's Morning Answer. John Anthony filling in for Dan Prof. Dan, as always, thank you so much for allowing me to fill in for you. It's always an honor and a treat to come here, except it's just too dang on early, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just so happy that I got a good night's sleep because I was 15 minutes away this morning instead of the hour's drive. You know, when as I'm watching what's happening across this country, as it relates to the national crime statistics, you hear and you see things but see, I'm a former cop, so I understand how this stuff works. The problem is that these national averages can conceal more than they reveal. Crime is not truly distributed evenly across America. It is concentrated in these particular cities, these particular neighborhoods. When you look at Chicago, I'll never forget the former Superintendent Eddie Johnson, and he would say over there on 12th and St. Louis, they know where the problem is, and it's all confined to these little small neighborhoods. I think, and then you look at the same time, the courts may be approaching one of the most consequential periods for the Second Amendment since the Supreme Court decided Bruin. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but a federal appellate court has now struck down New Jersey's restrictions on commonly owned semi-automatic firearms and magazines holding more than 10 rounds. I mean, you look at what happened with J.B. Pritzker and his assault on the Second Amendment here in the state of Illinois. And I'm so happy to be joined. I've interviewed him a few times now. Dr. John Lott. He's the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. Dr. Lott, welcome back to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You know, I always love reading. Anytime there's a situation, especially as it relates to crime reporting, I always go to look for you, and I've used a lot of your information. But you know, Dr. Lott, let's talk about this the big picture. You know, violent crime and murder appear to be declining significantly. But before politicians from either party began claiming credit, What does the most reliable current evidence show about the direction of homicide in America?
Right. So there are two measures that we have of crime generally, but for murders and homicides, we pretty much rely on the FBI data. And since 1900, when the federal government started collecting these, the lowest murder rate that we had prior to last year was about 4.5 murders per 100,000 people. In 2024 was about 5 per 100,000. And this last year, it fell slightly below 4 per 100,000 for the first time. And it looks like it's continuing to fall this year. During the first 6 months of the year, it looks like it's down another 18% to about 3.3 per 100,000. So you can see we have the lowest murder rates that we've ever seen by far last year and this year. Now, for violent crime, we're not going to get kind of the best estimates that we have of that until September. We know during the 4 years of the Biden administration, so there's two measures. One is crimes reported to police, but only about 40% of violent crimes are reported to police. Only about 30% of property crimes are reported to police. So the U.S. Department of Justice for over 50 years now has had what they call the National Crime Victimization Survey, where they survey a truly massive 240,000 people every year in order to get a measure of what the total crime is, to get an idea of how many crimes aren't being reported to police. And during the 4 years of the Biden administration, we had a 59% increase in felony violent crimes that occurred over those 4 years. That's the largest percentage increase in violent crime that we've ever seen since they started recording the data there.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, you've seen what's happened in Baltimore, what's happening in D.C. Who deserves the credit? I mean, the Trump administration, they argue that their immigration enforcement, their support for police, and this renewed emphasis on prosecution are helping this reduction in violent crime. But your recent work has also connected stronger immigration enforcement with the declining crime. How do you separate the effect of federal policy from these longer-term trends that may have begun before the current administration took office?
Right. Well, I mean, I think there are lots of factors that are affecting it. The bottom line is you have to make it, it's not rocket science, you have to make it risky for criminals to go and commit crimes. The riskier it is for them to go and commit crimes, the greater the reduction that you're going to see in crime rates. And the FBI last year had twice as many arrests as it had in 2024. You look at U.S. attorneys around the country who are appointed by the president. You look at Washington, D.C., for example. During the Biden administration, only...
Did we lose him? I think we lost him, guys. Did we lose him? Is he gone? No. That was getting real good. Oh my goodness! Because one of the things that I do want to talk to him about is he's talked about how crime is concentrated, and he came up with this research that found that 1% of 1% of counties with the highest murder rates contain roughly 20% of the population, but account for approximately 41% of murders. You heard that right. I mean, you found that the highest 2% of counties account for more than half of the murders. I mean, truthfully, what does that tell us about the national homicide rate? What does that tell us that the national homicide rate does not? I mean, that's one of the reasons why I really love Dr. John Lott, because he goes into the numbers. He gets into the minutia and truly and clearly explains what's actually happening, and I love that. And I hope we can get him back. Because you heard the phone was going in and out, so I was saying to myself, we may lose him. But that's what we and Brandon Tatum actually in that Jubilee 20 verses 1.
Everything I heard, everything I've listened to thus far, I think you're full of shit.
Give me an example of what I
Hello.
said that wasn't true.
Let me get to it.
Give me something I said that wasn't true.
I don't think anybody here would disagree that good policing is bad. We're talking about bad policing. We're talking about bullshit policing. We're talking about the kind of policing that puts gentlemen like you and me in prison for unjust crimes. You
Don't
like
put
to
me
cite
in
that you're a
yours.
police officer.
I
Let me
wasn't
cite my professional
officially,
background.
I was
Let
officially.
me cite my
I
professional
have
background.
been in that profession.
10 years writing policy in government.
You weren't
at the
a police
local
officer.
Right.
and
But you weren't a
state of
police
California
officer.
levels. And
You never arrested
weren't-
anybody.
You didn't write.
Okay, I did both. I wrote I did policy, and I passed legislation, and I was a police officer. And Brandon Tatum is 100% correct in what he's saying.
Policy. I did.
I enforced the law.
So, okay, I write the
But
law.
you don't enforce the law.
You don't enforce the law.
I
You don't
enforce the
enforce the
law.
law appropriately.
You just made
You
it up.
like to use one-offs. Let me use a one-off.
You don't need to use one off. You just make
in
it
the
up.
city of San Diego, there was a black police officer that sued the San Diego Police Department
Anecdotal.
with regard to, I mean, bro, all day you've been coming up with me. Now
I got
it's
statistical data
anecdotal.
points. Where do you want to go?
Look, like, I need you to keep that same
Black
energy,
people
bro.
commit
I need you to
over
keep the
half of
same
all violent
energy.
crimes.
And that's the problem with black conservatives like yourself. You don't know how to keep
You're
the same
just
energy.
talking emotionally.
It was
Give me some facts.
me. Well, I'm trying to give you facts.
come on with it.
You're supposed to be a police officer. Hold your head, bro. Hold your head. You interrupted everybody, bro. I got
You're
what,
here to
2-3
debate me.
minutes.
I'm not here to listen to you talk in circles.
But you talking like you was a state trooper, you was a Secret
But I know
Service.
cops.
and
I
them.
know cops all across the
Okay,
country.
but I did too.
I know
I do too.
policy. I know.
I
all
do
that.
too.
All right, get to your point.
You don't know policy because you never.
Just get to the point,
He
dude.
We're
said
talking
nah.
about policing in the black community. We're not talking about
I want
policy
to hold
writing.
you to account because police officers like you don't like accountability. So I want to hold you to account.
Okay, I got to stop right there because that's a complete and utter lie. That's a lie. To say that police officers don't like accountability, that is a complete and utter lie. You guys have no clue of the restraint that police officers have to have for the most part. Now, are there known instances and places where police officers have that haven't had that accountability? You bet. But the percentage is so small, right? Remember the voting, the most secure elections. Oh, it's only a few, right? Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy that you guys come out with, but you don't want to. So that's why. Okay, I got to get Dr. John Lott on my show because I would love to finish that that interview with him. Guess what Zothra Mandami is basically if you go into one of their city-owned grocery stores. Guess what you have to have.
How are you going to keep people from taking advantage of that, that deal, basically? And is there going to be a limit on the number of items that someone can take that are discounted at that level from that essential basket?
So our RFP makes very clear that this is a program for New Yorkers to be able to put food on the table, not a program for people to be able to make a quick buck through reselling. I'm going to pass it over to our EDC head, GPAC, to add some additional details.
Check this out.
Yes, if you look at our RFP for the operator, we are looking to make sure that we target New Yorkers, whether it be at sort of a library card-esque thing, and also we manage who's buying and that is focused on everyday New Yorkers. So we are mindful of that, and so we're going to make sure that we have all the things in place to ensure that that does not happen.
So you got to have some form of ID to get the groceries. Dude, you cannot make this stuff up. You simply cannot make this stuff up. That you got to have ID to get free groceries, but you don't have to have an ID to go vote, especially in a presidential election where we're changing the leadership of the greatest country in the world. Somebody make it make sense for me, because it's not making any sense for me. That this guy, what I thought everything was supposed to be free with this guy. See, he's going back on his word already. He's going back on his word already. You know why he's going back on his word? Because it's not sustainable. What these people believe in is not sustainable. Go back, look at the record. I just did. I wrote a book, Counterfeit Republic. It's coming September 19th on the day of my boat show. If you haven't gone to get your tickets for the boat show, please go to that. 560theanswer.com/cruise. I would love to see you as we traverse the water of Lake Michigan, and we have a good time. And I do believe, I forgot to talk to her last night, and I was with her last night, that Stephanie Trussell and her boss dogs, I may stop on and get me a boss dog on the way home. They're going to be providing the food, and it's all you can drink and all you can eat for this boat cruise. I can't lie, guys. I cannot lie. what's his name? Luke from 2 Live Crew. Uncle Luke. What's his name? Do you guys remember I don't remember his last name. But I cannot believe, I played this on Black and Right, and I cannot believe that I'm hearing, this guy, Uncle Luke, despises President Trump. I mean, despises him. And I can't believe Uncle Luke, 2 Live Crew, had this to say. He's running for Congress.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to agree with Donald Trump. But on this one, I got to agree with him. These career politicians, Democrats that I've always supported, in my congressional race, they are really cheating. One of the candidates, she has people knocking on seniors' doors, telling these seniors that they will take their ballot to the box. Opening up the ballot, changing the vote, and dropping it in the box. They call them ballot harvesters. I never even know this even existed. See, you know, I'm a career politician in this race. And I always said everything Trump says is a lie. He's making excuses. But he's right. These people do rig elections. They're literally going to seniors' house, and you can look at it on the data machine as to who voted and who didn't vote. So they're going to these seniors' houses, knowing
I can't believe I'm playing Uncle Luke from 2 Live Crew, and I'm actually agreeing with him about his assessment of what's happening in his congressional race. And you guys, listen, if he's willing to come out and say it, because I'm sure he has operatives on the ground who are monitoring this and see that this is happening. And this is happening all across the country. Don't give me the most secure election that we've ever had of 2020 with Joe Biden getting 81 million votes, more votes than Barack Obama by almost 20 million people. You think I'm supposed to believe that? Barack Obama, the great hope, got 65 million votes and Joe Biden got 81 million votes? And we supposed to just sit back and just say, okay, yeah, we agree with this? No, I'm not. I simply can't agree with this. I did love this. We got about what? Okay. I did love this. I can play a bit of it. Speaker Mike Johnson, he was being interviewed, and he was talking about America's true secret weapon.
I want to say, let me show you in just about 6 words why your country is the most extraordinary, exceptional, and different than any that's ever been. And I would go up, and I would write on the board just 6 words. I'd write God, G-O-D, really big at the top. I go halfway down the board, and I write King, lowercase k. I drew a bunch of arrows down, and I write the people / the subjects. I step back, and I look at that, and I say, now what you're looking at here is sort of a graphic depiction of the philosophy called the divine right of kings. And it comes from, it's an old European medieval notion. Most of the great nations you've studied subscribe to some form of this. They believe basically that there was a higher power, but the king, the earthly king, is the sovereign. The king is the one that can tell you what property you can hold, what rights you have, sometimes who you can marry, how many kids you have, what you're going to do for a living. The king is the boss. And then that's why the arrows come down and they see the people / the subjects. Now in 1776, these guys came along and they didn't buy that, right? Because you know what? They were students of Scripture. Of the 56 signers of the Declaration, many of them had seminary degrees. They were all students of our Judeo-Christian heritage and our Scripture, and they understood that did not line up with the truth there. And so G.K. Chesterton was a famous British philosopher and statesman, and he summarized one time, he said, America is the only nation in the world that was founded upon a creed. He says this with almost theological lucidity or clarity in the Declaration of Independence. It's like a statement of faith. What is the creed? Second paragraph of the Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident. By the way, in the first draft, Jefferson had written it, we hold these truths to be sacred and inviolate. And Benjamin Franklin said, that's too wordy, let's just go with self-evident. Okay, so fine, then we hold these truths to be self-evident, but when I'm explaining this to college students, I say, hold on, what is a self-evident truth? And make them think through that. And ultimately, they'll conclude it's something that's obvious. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, and I always stop and I say, wait a minute, it doesn't say born equal, it says created equal. There's very intentional wording. We hold these truths to be self-evident, all men are created equal. We're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among those the rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Now, what's so revolutionary, bold, even crazy about that, the reason it sparked the American Revolution and set us on course to be this great country is because no country had ever done that before. They defied this idea of the earthly king. When I have a whiteboard, I get the eraser and I go up and I erase king, erase all the arrows that went down from king to the people and the subjects, erase the word to subjects, I back up. All that's left now on the board is God and the people. And then I draw all the arrows down from God to the people. And I say, that is a very simple explanation. What made your country different than all the ones before?
And that's why we have a constitutional republic.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, folks. Man, that 4 hours, it flew by. You know, I just want to quickly state, did you guys see that dude in Idaho who took down the Idaho shooter? Oh, my God. You talk about a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun. That was the poster. I mean, that photo that they got of him just standing there holding, oh, my goodness. That's like everything. Don't forget, guys, I'm having my boat show. Head over to 560theanswer.com/cruise. Get the tickets to come visit. There's also a part where you can get my new book, Counterfeit Republic, on the cruise that day. I look forward to having fun with you guys. I think we're going to have fun. Justin, hi, Keith Conrad. Keith Conrad is in today. Thank you guys so much for making my ability to do this just so much easier. And so it's same to you, Mike Scott. I'm so happy to see Mike Scott back. It means the world. Mike Scott is truly one of the greatest people in the world that you could ever meet. And I mean that with everything that's inside of me. So please go get the tickets. I love to see you. It is now 9 a.m. on WIND Chicago.
The acting attorney general may soon get a thumbs up. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, from the Republican-led Senate Judiciary Committee.
Todd Blanche's Justice Department has reprioritized the safety of Americans after the Biden administration opened borders to violent criminals.
So Chairman Chuck Grassley and other GOP senators plan to vote to advance Blanche's